Well, here we are for a very significant race in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge for 2025. First of the standard length 2-hour races, the Alan Jay Automotive Network 120. The clue is in the title of the race, the 250th GS race in history. And here at Sebring International Raceway at Sebring, Florida, right in the middle of the state, on a classic and historic circuit of 3 3/4 miles. Fangio, Collier, Bishop, Le Mans, Jean de Bihan, Ullman, Gurney, they're all there. All the names round here in the 17 corners. Action areas at turn 1, which is very, very quick indeed. Big break at turn 7, getting things under control by the back end of the circuit. 2 hours of non-stop action for the Alan Jay Automotive Network 120. And the other piece of history that we're making is about how you're watching and or listening, obviously, on RS2, as always, but for the first time ever, here in the US and around the world on the IMSA YouTube channel, without any adverts, not even the YouTube ads, and that's courtesy of Michelin. So you get what we give you, which is absolutely every second of the race through to the checkered flag in just over 2 hours' time. In the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre, I'm John Hindorf. I've got Ryan Marine and Peter Mackay with me. Our BDO Pit Lane reporting team is Joe Bradley and Nick Damon. And let's pop down to them. Joe Bradley is keeping an eye on the TCRs at the start of this race as we're on the formation lap.
The question is all about who can beat those Brian Herter Hyundais. They are on the front row. I asked Mason Phillippe, he's not on the pole position, he's alongside second position. And Mason Phillippe, I said, so what's the team orders? There are no team orders. So it's going to be how do they behave with one another out there. They've got the pace, certainly over the 1 lap. I think they've got the pace for the 2 hours.
And at the GS end of the field, the question is not who can beat who, but who could possibly win. The first 5 cars are an Aston Martin, a BMW, a Porsche, a Toyota and a Ford. And I think in 8th place is a Mercedes, going to show A, the teams are very even, and B, of course, that there is a fantastic balance of performance. Who will win the race is not just about drivers, which manufacturer can take home the Alan Jay 120.
And as we were just discussing in our countdown to green before we came live on this historic global broadcast around the world and around the US, 40-minute drive time, Peter Mackay, does not fit in with the fuel strategy in this race. 2 hours is an easy one stop for the TCRs, even if we go green all the way through. The GS, to do it on one stop, would need quite a bit of help from the safety car. So that's probably going to be something like 2.5 stints. I know that sounds odd, about 50 minutes for those cars. But 40 minutes doesn't fit in any of that, and that's why it's 40 minutes. That's why IMSA do that.
It's by design, yes, and this is a championship where you have mixed driver lineups. Often you have a non-professional driver who qualifies and starts the car in most cases, and then hands over to a professional. And the timing at which you do that is critical, because you want to maximize your professional driver drive time as much as you possibly can. And ideally, you want a caution to come out just after 40 minutes, but nobody has control over any of that.
It's the second round of the championship, Ryan Marine. We come away from the 4-hour race. Who's hot? Who's not in terms of race performance?
Well, certainly in the TCR class, you start with the Hyundai's Brian Herta Autosport. That was really the one scalp they hadn't taken yet in the TCR class in their long affiliation now with Hyundai. They hadn't got that victory there, but able to do so. I think the McLaren team, the Ibiza Farms operation, with the kind of surprise win, even to their own minds in Daytona, that put them out in front as far as the championship is concerned. But a big change in the balance of power, if you will, coming from Daytona to Sebring is the BMWs have turned up to play here in Sebring. They really struggled in Daytona on the high banks, but as you can see, we've got one on the front row to start this race here. The BMW teams feel like they've got something they can fight with, and that could be a fun thing to keep an eye on.
Paul Holton capture the pole position for Aston Martin and for Team TGM. He'll start drivers left in the multicoloured Vantage Evo. He's got Sean McAllister in the BMW of Car Barn with Peregrine, the grey car with the green accents. It's Hyundai to the fore in TCR. Watch out for the fast starting Luca Mars from row 2 in the number 28 RS Porsche and the GR Supra, Werner Nergerbach. Great flag in the air, we're racing, and the 2 hours begins to count down. Great start from the pole sitter who pulls into the middle of the track. Here comes that Porsche down the inside. It's light, it's nimble, and the RS1 red, white and black car is already into second. BMW going wide. It looks like Luca Mars is going to be able to convert that. Great start into second place. Decent start from the TCR cars on the split start. The 2 Hyundais doing what they needed to do and not running into each other. It is Luca Mars in second. Sean McAllister is now battling against the Toyota behind him. Werner Neugebauer and Bob McKaylian. Sam Paley's coming through there as well in the 13 course car. Big defensive move by the BMW in turn number 7. Also making up positions there. The Turner BMW in its traditional yellow and blue colours, trying to see what's happened with the TCRs, but there's so much going on at the front of the field. I think Bryson Morris has hung on to the lead. I'll confirm that as they come through the next timing loop, and at least we'll be able to see that follow along. IMSA.com timing from Al Kamel. Thank you to the team just a couple of doors away from us for making sure that we've got all the information that we need. Bright start, clean start, respectful start, and Paul Holton already with half a second to 3/4 of a second, Ryan Marine, on the rest of the field.
Picture perfect for Paul. We talked to his teammate Matt Plum, defending champion, of course, in the free race, and he had the utmost confidence in his young co-driver. The two of them sparred quite a bit a few years ago, and they were with different teams in different cars, but they've actually turned into a really strong pairing as Paul came in at Sebring last year, actually, alongside Matt to help him to that championship. And how about the RS1 Porsche? Wasting no time. Young Luca Mars very quick to make the move to the inside to grab second spot.
Luca has been on fire this week, Peter, and shown all the potential that we know he's got. This is a great opportunity for him with this drive with RS1.
It is. It's a huge opportunity. We've seen him perform in the Ford Mustang before, but switching to the Porsche and having a teammate like Jan Halen, I'm sure, is giving a lot of benefit. And the pair of them have been really quick all the way through practice, as Paul Holton looking very racy at the front of the field in that number 46 Aston Martin, and his teammate Matt Plum is trying to become the most successful driver in Michelin Pilot Challenge history to score his 25th win. The thing is, though, Billy Johnson's trying to do exactly the same thing. Problem for the JDC Porsche in GS.
Yeah, and these guys are the TCR champions from last year, and they've just been swamped by the front of the TCR field. LP Montour, another driver we said to look out for, is up to second. Gelson Neto for Audi up to third. Mason Filippi down to fourth position. So it's 33, 93, 7 and 98. And already there's a pit lane caller, Nick Damon.
Yeah, it's the number 17 JDC Miller Porsche Boxster. Oh, it is a Boxster, isn't it? It has a front right puncture. Managed to get it in with no damage. And the cable, not Boxster, cable, good point. I can't believe I made a mistake to the Porsche aficionado there. Obviously, it's a solid roof, it's a Cayman. Yeah, so it was driven in well, no damage. The tyre hadn't destroyed itself, but unfortunately now a long way behind the entire field, so he'll be hoping desperately for some yellow.
Nick, did they top that car off there?
I think they did, yes. They did. They have the
you have to. That'll give them a couple of extra laps. It might just help. Hello to Elliot Lindemuth. He's tuned in the desert of California. Cold over there at the moment. Coffee and sports car racing on a Friday. Can life get any better? At IMSA Radio if you want to speak to us. So bad news there for last year's TCR champions, and now begins the drive back from Chris Miller and the rest of the team for Unitronic JDC Miller Motorsport. At the front of the field, Paul Holton now 3/4 of a second to the good. with Luca Mars trying to keep him honest.
In a manner of speaking, though, it's kind of good news for the JDC team that it was just a puncture, because they've been chasing niggling issues all throughout the weekend that have cost them extensive running time. And if it is something as simple as the puncture, that can be fixed, it can be replaced, and this is still a long race at 2 hours. With full course yellows, they can still get back into this fight.
Yeah, they're still learning that car. Know the series very well. Had a fuel problem earlier in the week. They think they've got to the bottom of that. Got some new fuel in the car, pumped out the tank. Maybe a little condensation was causing them some problems. Right, let's check in at the front of the TCR field, and Celso Neto has gone to the front for the number 7 Precision Racing team. Has the fastest lap of the race there. LP Monto in second, Bryson Morris out, a pole sitter Peter Mackay now down to third, ahead of the outside pole sitter Mason Filippi. The two Hyundai Elantra's not able to live with the Audi and the Honda early doors.
But as we think, they've got very strong long-run pace, the BHA Hyundais. That they
well, they were trying to sell that to Ryan early in the week. We're not going for pole. We're setting the car up for the long way, and then they locked out the front row.
LP Montour into the back of Celso Neto there on the brakes into turn 7, and nearly gets a run on Neto there, but Neto hangs on to the lead. But that is just a little bit of touring car style bumping. And these TCR cars, if you like these cars, good news, they're here to stay until 2028 in the Michelin Pilot Challenge.
At the very least, yes. Coming through and splitting the two Elantras. Sam Baker now up into 4th position and off for one of the core cars. That's the number 60, Christian Bach, with the Mustang facing the wrong direction at Tower Turn. There's a few witness marks on the road there, but might not be his. This is the, I was going to say red, white and blue, red, chrome, silver and blue. And he's pointing in the right direction. Don't see too much damage on that car. Now, there was the BMW right with him, was one of the
number 4 car barn.
Yeah, it was Bill Kane in the car barn car. We'll see if race control are having a look at that. And the Rafa number 12 Toyota around, and that's at turn 16. Dear me, I just said it was going well. That is Rafael Martinez, the man behind the Rafa Club. He's just been getting quicker and quicker. So again, we've got to ask ourselves, did he jump or was he pushed?
We stay green though.
Yeah,
so
that's
there's a couple of incidents there, but we stay green. So because that would have potentially thrown a bit of.
Chris Miller was dying for a yellow flag.
Well, yeah. So that JDC Miller Porsche that pitted to fix that damaged tyre is still on the lead lap. Managed to get that done and out while on the lead lap. That's absolutely critical, because if the pace car does come out, then they'll get that lap back.
Yeah, absolutely right. As they do the split. So let's just remind you, we are 1 hour and 52 minutes to go. 8 minutes into this race. 2 completely different rule sets, 2 different sets of cars. The TCRs running to that global TCR regulation front-wheel drive, 4-cylinder, 2-litre inline 4, turbocharged engines, 4 or 5 apertures, shall we say. I was going to say doors, but apertures as far as the regulations go. There must be front-wheel drive, so you can't have the rear drive. It's been insanely popular since the demise of the World Touring Car Championship. TCR's taken over with national, regional, and almost a world championship, more like a world league actually around the world, with a really intricate way of deciding who goes to the world finals. But it's a cracking battle at the front of the field. The Audi, Peter Mackay loves this car. It's under pressure at the moment. LP Montour right in the wheel tracks of Celso Neto. Meantime, at the front of the field, Paul Holton did have a 3/4 of a second lead. It's gone. And there's now 5 cars, Peter, battling for the GS and overall lead.
Yeah, it's all very orderly at the front of the field, and we've got 5 manufacturers in there in that top 5. But you've got an opportunity if you're in that pack and you're quite comfortable with the pace. You can get a bit of fuel save done here. Get a little bit of lift and coast into a lot of the corners. Try and minimise that fuel usage because that can widen your strategical window a little bit. We've seen Michelin Pilot Challenge races won in the past with amazing fuel saving. Riley Dickinson and Kelly Moss, Riley at Daytona last year is one example among many.
That incident, Ryan, between the 2 cars down at the far end of the circuit, unsurprisingly under review.
Yeah, that was the Bill Kane contact with the Mustang of Bach. Bach got the worst end of that, and race control taking a look at it now. Should also mention, I think Christine Sloss had an issue on that lap because all of a sudden she finds herself down at the bottom even of the TCR field, and I just saw her dropping down timing and scoring, so not exactly sure what's happening there, but apparently some misfortune here in the early stages.
Couple of things that I'm going to trail ahead before it all kicks off here in Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre, along with our colleagues as part of the BDO Pit Lane reporting team. We will be looking for a Michelin moment of the race for TCR and one for GS. Now, it might be a stunning overtake. It may be something tactical. It may be just a fine piece of driving or a nice, gentlemanly, respectful piece of racing. We'll announce that before the end of the race. Each of the recipients will get a brand new set of Michelin racing tyres for the next race that comes along. So we'll keep our eye on that throughout the race. Little mistake by the Mustang in 5th position. Sam Paley in the 13th. Used to seeing that car in pure whites. This year, a beautiful satin blue with the galloping Mustang on the side. Livery designers have really been working hard in all the IMSA championships this year, Peter Mackay.
They have, yeah. There's so many good examples through, not just here in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, but in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship, the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, Lamborghini Super Trofeo, etc. So yeah, we're very lots of really cool cars to see, and yeah, that satin blue Mustang looks absolutely superb. As I think it was, I know it was the Mustang, yeah, just because it's that's coming out of turn 1. It's a very sandy through there. We've seen a couple of cars come a cropper. We saw Sheldon van der Linde, car number 25 in the IMSA GTP qualifying session, get it into the wall on the left there, having gone through the sand. Likewise, the Wayne Taylor Lamborghini number 45 did the same thing.
The issue there, Ryan, is that on the outside of that curb, which are like alligator teeth, it's very sandy, very loamy. It's beginning to dig a bit of a trench there. Going off is not the problem, it's coming back on.
And it doesn't get any better as the weekend goes along. More and more cars dropping wheels there, and it makes that transition back, to your point, just that much more abrupt. And after 12 hours of racing tomorrow in the big show, that gets extra dangerous there. But good recovery, all things considered, for Paley, who had the fastest lap of the race a couple of moments ago. But now the battle was on for the lead, where Luca Mars, that middle sector in particular, is where the Porsche has been really strong all weekend long. And right now it looks like he's got the package to go for the lead.
3 cars at the front of the field, very different. Front engine V8, mid-engine flat 6, front engine as well for the BMW. As round goes the red number 30 Mustang, and that one is Scott Thompson. He was driving a blue Mustang this morning in the Mustang Challenge, and he has got the car pointing in the right direction. That was the Jean de Bian-Benz LEP Motorsports driver. Of course, maybe a little bit too much curb on the right-hand side for the Michelin tyres. Nice avoidance there, actually, by the Porsche following on, which was Phil Fair for CSM. I was just going to say, watching that battle for the lead, Peter, coming down into 17, 3 very different cars. Spin for, that is Ted Giovannis. Just for a moment there, I was wondering if that was the leader. Very similar team car, of course. That was right in the middle of the corner. That's an odd one for Ted. See if he can get that car going and pointing in the right direction. He can. But we've got a core car off again. This is the number 59 car. That's Bob McCallion at turn 7. Well, Peter said orderly. And look what happened after that.
At the front it was, I said.
Oh, he might have had help here.
He did.
He did.
Number 16 Toyota there. It will be Harrison Goodman, I would imagine.
Hattori Motorsports, yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. So but all of these incidents are happening, and we still stay green. Oh, that's quite a big hit, actually.
Yeah.
Lucky to get away without any kind of steering, or well, not steering, but any suspension damage or anything like that.
Yeah, the black and tan coloured machine of Hattori Motorsport already under review. That incident. I'll try and get this point out before something else happens. The Aston, the Porsche, and the BMW is not going to happen, is it? Because the GR Super's having a look. The black and orange one. Not only is it 3 different cars, but 3 completely different lines the last time through turn 17. They're a bit more in concert this time around. No surprise here that our first penalty is on the board, and it's for Harrison Goodman in that Toyota GR Super. The other one was inconclusive, no further action. So Harrison will have to come down the pit lane. Now the battle's on for second place.
Yeah, look at Mars under pressure here. Lost quite a bit of time on that previous lap. 6/10 he lost to the Team TGM Aston that leads of Paul Holton. Yeah. But the car to watch for here in terms of pace is the Toyota of Werner Neugebauer. His fastest through Sector 2 and Sector 3 at the moment. So, okay, doesn't quite have the track position, but watch for that black and orange Toyota, which is in 4th right now, right on the back of the BMW of Sean McAllister.
And we've now got Audi, Honda and Hyundai at the front of the field. Bryson Morris has gone through into 3rd. Sam Baker up into 4th in the 52. Audi. Baker Racing in the TCRs. I'll keep you informed on that. There's just so much going on at the front of the field. We don't take our eyes off it at the moment. And coming back through the field, by the way, a couple of cars, let's not forget that we've got Chris Miller. He's charging his way back to the TCR, back of the field. He's got a few cars in GS now who've had issues, who would be catching first. He's just managed to stay on the end of the lead lap after that tyre puncture early on in the race. May have been contact, possibly a curb, we don't know. No tyre warmers allowed, of course, so you do have to do some tyre prep in the early laps of the race. Another problem for another Mustang.
It's the same one, number 30, Scott Thompson.
Yeah.
Spun at coming out of turn 7.
Correct.
Yes.
Hook's first gear. Now, 3 into 1, don't go here. And here's the problem with the TCR cars, and that's Audi versus Hyundai, as the number 76 of Preston Brown was trying to make a move, and he's absolutely nailed the Mustang in doing that. Great piece of driving by Johnny Mauro to keep his car straight when he was being leaned on. And then secondly, to avoid the spinning Thompson. That'll be looked at very quickly.
That's the Daytona winning car as well. Preston Brown and Denny DuPont that got the win in class at Daytona, and therefore they're the points leaders coming into this second round of the championship. And for Scott Thompson, we talked at the Open about the overlap of the classes, how difficult it could be at times. We've already seen that, a few instances of it, as Goodman now takes the drive-through penalty.
Saw one of the Hyundais going slow there, but I think maybe be some sort of tyre problem. Yeah, it was the 72 car, Riley Pegram, who's dropped back. Just going to check on the tracker, but I'm sure I saw in the corner of a shot in our Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre.
Yeah, it's Lance Bergstein. Lance Bergstein in the number 18 Hyundai. Nick Damon's just told me that they're scrambling on the wall, and the report is it's another flat tyre.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say as well. Just saw that message flash up. Thanks to Race Control for that information. That is strange. It's not something we've been talking about much over the course of the week so far across multiple series, but it does happen. The key thing is that it happens early. Gives you a chance to recover.
We're not at the minimum drive time yet, though. Just 20 minutes done. We've got 20 minutes to go before that window opens where you can make the driver switch.
It's almost a 5-car battle for the lead in TCR. The dark grey, or the light grey rather, number 7 Audi from Precision Racing leads out with MMG and the Honda in second, and behind the wall at turn 11. Now what's gone on there? I think that's the number 8, if I'm not mistaken, Mike Fitzpatrick in the Aston Martin of 89X Motorsports. He's pulled it off the circuit. If he's done that on his own, that's very respectful and good driving, Ryan. Onto the pit road for the number 18, as we mentioned, with that flat tyre. That's the Hyundai coming into the pit lane. But what's happened to Mike in that Aston?
It's a great question. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of it. We do have another message from race control that that incident between Preston Brown and Scott Thompson, that's now under review as well. So all of a sudden, race control has a lot of work on their hands.
Let's go down to Nick Damon in the pit lane, as he has got a Toyota with him.
No, it's a Hyundai. It's the Victor Gonzalez, the 18 car. Now, the interesting thing is that this car has had a front right puncture. That is the second front right puncture we've had in these first 20 minutes. Unfortunately, the driver wasn't quite so, what's the word for it, I suppose, sympathetic, and he's managed to unravel various parts of the tyre, including they're now trying to rip off some of the beading in the tyre from the inside of the wheel. It's completely, he's lost the whole of the carcass, so he's much longer business now trying to get that tyre debris out from the front right wheel well. They have, of course, topped up with fuel, but as we speak, they're still ripping bits of old tyre out of the car, John.
Nick Damon with that BDO pit lane report. If you're just joining us, welcome along to this second race of the Michelin Pilot Challenge season. It's the Alan Jay Automotive Network 120. If you're just coming to us now and you've missed the first 20 minutes, if you're on the IMSA YouTube channel, you can rewind and go back to the beginning. I was just about to tell you that someone had gone off at turn 1. That was another one of the TCR cars. That was Matty Oust for the Hyundai team. But at the front of the race in TCR, it's an absolute cracker. We have now got Peter Mackay, the 5-car scrap.
Amazing job, and what a job from Celso Neto, who's a bronze-graded driver who's got a slew of silvers all over the back of him, and he's doing an amazing job to hold them off. Now, Matteo is coming through. Oh, gets taken out by our teammate. Oh no. The number 76 of Preston Brown gets into an altercation at turn 1 with Matty Oust. They're both from the same team.
He's just been cleared of the incident with the GS car number 30. No action down at turn 7. I'm not sure that he will be so fortunate there.
That might make for an awkward debrief.
Yeah, Sunday lunch is going to be tough in the team. At the front of the field, by the way, Paul Holt from pole position still leaves. He's pulled out again to about 3/4 of a second from Luke Amars in the Porsche. Sean McAllister in the BMW. Sam Paley about another 9/10 further back in the Ford. Then Neugebauer, as Peter said, in the GR Toyota. That's 5 manufacturers in the top 5. TCR is where it's at the moment. It's a street fight on a Friday afternoon from the street-based cars. Actually, that's not fair anymore. These cars share the platform, but they are pretty highly developed racing cars now.
Yeah, these are proper race cars, that's for sure. And Celso Neto, the leader, he comes from SRO touring car racing, where he won a championship last year, and now those were more road-based race cars. This is a big step up for him. A scholarship winner, the IMSA Diversity Scholarship winner that helped him secure this opportunity. And he and Ryan Eversley were pretty strong at Daytona. Another car off the pace here, John.
TCR. Johnny Mauro for Rumcastle Racing. And he's gone past the pit lane entrance.
That's the worst thing that can happen. Worst thing that can happen. He's got 3 3/4 miles to get around. I'm not sure that 4-cylinder EA888 engine is actually driving the front wheels. He's trying to get it off the circuit. There is a cutout on the outside of turn 1. He's done a really good job to stay out of everybody's way. But right now, that car is not coming around he can't limp round that car round the circuit. Leader coming through turn 17, drifting the back end. Paul Holton pushing his Michelin tries. He's trying to make a break. Another incident involving that number 76 car. That's the the Preston Brown car.
We could be going full course yellow here. The Rumcastle Audi has come to a dead stop on the kind of outside of turn 1 as the Luca Mars driven Porsche and the BMW of Sean McAllister battle over second place, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a full course yellow coming out here.
Hearing that it was low oil pressure that was hurting the Mike Fitzpatrick Aston Martin number 8 earlier on when we saw that car pull off. Now he did get behind the wall. Victor Gonzalez Racing Team back in. Nick Damon.
Yeah, they came in, they've done the usual thing where they've wobbled the front end because the driver's not very happy. Don't forget there was an entire carcass tyre carcass stuffed inside that front right wheel well, and I think they're still trying. They may have found they've got some bits to get out that are actually making the suspension not work quite correctly. I can see there's a couple of cords are still in there, so they haven't managed to get the whole of the tyre out. So they are now trying to do that job more thoroughly. But when you have wound those threads around the inside of a driven wheel, it can be quite a long process. So that's when, now we've got the man just did the hand across the throat there. So I don't think it's quite that bad, sir. Yeah, so there's going to be a while they try to dig this out. They have now got the trusty working modelling knife to cut away the threads. But yeah, I think the problem was they were just too quick the first time around. They should have cleared it out better.
More drama while we were getting that update from the pits, and it was contact between Sam Paley in the 4th place Mustang into the 3rd place Sean McAllister, the Carbon BMW. I'm not sure that car is totally on song after that contact. He's not quite back up to pace, lost significant track position, and that will be another incident for race control to adjudicate.
Well, and the good news is, though, for race control anyway, and for everyone, I guess for everyone else watching, is the 31 Rumcastle Audi was very quickly dealt with and pushed behind the wall by the AMR safety crew, which meant that we could stay green. Fantastic work from them. I think we might well see the Carbon BMW. Is it going to come into the pits? No, he's going to keep going. As into the pits, though, comes the 95 of Dylan McIvern. Now, this is not in the minimum driver time window, so this is an unscheduled stop.
So that's out of a top 8 position for Turner BMW. Joe Bradley has switched to that end of the pit lane for this BDO pit lane report. Joe?
Yeah, the Turner BMW taking on what looks like it could be, well, it's certainly 2 tyres at least on the right-hand side, and now they go to work on the left. Reverse that. They did the left-hand side first and then the right. It's just as I'm walking towards it. But like you guys say, no driver change here, but tyres and fuel. So a little bit puzzling, but remember, not straightforward for the GS cars. They will have to do 2 stops, and this might be the first of those 2. Cars back out.
This might be a Michelin moment of the race contender very early on in GS, because Turner Motorsport, they know how to win, they know how to win championships, and they've taken themselves off sequence here. Meantime, the work goes on the Lance Bergstein Hyundai Elantra number 18. That was the car that had the issue with the tyre. And Preston Brown has been pinged for one.
Yes, so that incident with Matty Oust, I think that was a fairly easy decision for race control to make. So that's a drive-through penalty for car 76, the championship leader of course. And we'll have to keep a very close watch on that Turner 95 BMW, because they are off strategy, and if they get a full course yellow soon, all of a sudden they're in a better position than everybody else, even though they didn't have the track position going into it. So keep a close watch on that. It's been a great run from Moise Uretsky, who started 11th on the grid. He's up to 7th now in the Ibiza Farm McLaren.
Goes to show how important it is just to keep your nose clean. He's done a nice job of that, while others in front of him have faltered. This is the Daytona winning car that Moise shares with Michael Cooper.
Sam Paley and Sean McAllister incident under review, and that was very quickly an F8'd, to use police terms. No further action. That's not the work of a moment, getting those tyre cords out from underneath the right-hand side of the Victor Gonzalez Racing Team Elantra, and they're just dropping like a stone. I think they want to get Lance back out again and get some more laps. Apparently, I'm hearing now, and thank you to Aaron, our producer up in NASCAR Productions in Concord, the ABS wheel sensor has been taken out by that, or at least it's been rendered ineffectual, so that car does not have any ABS. TCR cars not having ABS is not the end of the world. You've got quite a lot of downforce, and when you start braking hard, the downforce bleeds off. Now, just hearing that Lance Bergstein has climbed out of the 18. That's the end of the day, I'm afraid, for the Victor Gonzalez Racing car number 18. Not the way they wanted today to go.
Interestingly, that with the number 13 Mustang of Sam Paley and the 39 BMW, the Carbahn car, no further action. That's quite interesting. That is very interesting. Maybe just and it was dealt with very quickly. It was noted and dealt with in 2 minutes.
Admittedly, we only saw it the one time.
True.
And briefly, race control will have perhaps angles we did not see, and they clearly felt strongly about that. And interesting now that he doesn't have to play defense anymore on that BMW. Luca Mars is back to being the aggressor, looking left, looking right.
But it goes into all the crud that's sitting on the right-hand side halfway down the Ullman straight, but the leader's missed his braking point slightly. Can Luca get underneath at turn 17? He will do with the lighter, more nimble car. Can't get alongside. Just doesn't get the overlap as they go through. Both of them on the ragged edge of adhesion through turn 17. Airborne for a couple of bounces at least over the bumps. And here comes Sam Paley. Paley coming into this, and Neugebauer as well in the Toyota. Austin Krantz just a little bit further back in the first now of the BMWs in 5th position. That's the number 27 car of Auto Technic Racing.
And then you mentioned it's lighter, the Porsche over the Aston. It's 120 kilos lighter, that 718 GT4 RS. And that's
Are you
after
looking
having
at me when you say 120 kilos?
No, I'm looking myself in the mirror, I think, at this rate. 10 kilograms added since Daytona as well. But of course, the power is different. The way they deliver things are different, and their lap times absolutely bob on the same. I mean, a 2:12.4 is the best for Paul Holton. Interestingly, the best from Luca Mars in the Porsche in second is a 2:12.2.
So Paul Holton defended all the way across to the right. Luca goes off, puts 2 Michelin tyres over the white line, and the amount of large bits of rubber debris that are there, because that's not normally, Ryan, where you drive.
Right, and so especially now that these tires are up to temperature, a hot racing tire going over the dirt, the debris, the marbles, the rubber marbles that come off the tires, you pick all that up and it just sticks to that warmed up race rubber, and it can cause all kinds of discomfort into the following corner. Sometimes it can take multiple corners to clean those tires all the way off and leave you on the back foot.
So an hour and 27 minutes on the clock. We're getting very close to that minimum drive time for the starting drivers being complete, with 1 hour and 20 to go. That will be done, and you can make a pit stop, put your new driver in, and if you can make it, you don't need to come back in again, if you could make it, but you need a lot of yellow for that to be the case. But the minimum driver time will elapse in 7 minutes.
For anybody who has not been into the pit lane.
Good point.
So anybody who, and we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars that have been in the pit lane at least once. So that pit lane time does not count to your drive time in IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, and we've seen people fall foul of that. I remember Petit Le Mans a couple of years ago, Ryan, and it cost a good finish.
It's cost a fair few teams that result, because that's not the case in every championship around the world. Different series will use different rule sets for that, and you got to make sure you're up on the rule book so you don't run afoul of something like that. The ebb and flow, though, of this battle at the front of GS has been fascinating. There are moments where it looks like Luca Mars is set to pounce, ready to go on the attack, and then he'll fall back into the clutches of whoever is behind him. Right now it's Sam Paley, but Werner Neugebauer doing a really good job. He's been super impressive in that Supra. Right now he looks like the aggressor. He's doing double duty this weekend, guys. He's got a Super Trofeo race still to run later on today.
Couldn't get much different, could you, from a GR Supra to the Raging Bull Lamborghini Super Trofeo, which will be I would think the Super Trofeo is probably the fastest GT car in a straight line here.
Yeah.
Including the GT3 cars, because they're a bit slipperier than a GT3 car.
And I think they're less choked back as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they put out a ton of power. They make less downforce, so they are very slippery through the air. I know that Lamborghini will readily admit that their Huracan Super Trofeo car is faster than the GT3 equivalent in a straight line, but the GT3 car makes up for that with some of the driver aids and as well as all the aero they pack onto that car.
The Ferrari Challenge is the same, very similar idea. In terms of the way they work things. Sean McAllister has clearly seen red after that incident with Sam Paley, because he just popped in the best lap of the race, 2-minute 12.0. That is really, really quick.
Is that getting close to a race lap record? Meantime,
no.
Aston Martin being passed by a couple of TCR cars on the back straight.
Yeah, I think that car was just off track. I believe that was Christine
Christine
Sloss.
Sloss, yeah,
we got a message that she was off and back on. Lap traffic now for the leaders, and this is lap GS traffic they're going to have to contend with before they even get to the back of the TCR field.
And Ted's not helping them out there, Peter.
I think Ted Giovannis facilitated as best as he could. In fact, he's blended out the throttle, let the leaders by. That's good driving from Ted Giovannis there to have that perception. That's not easy, really not easy. When you're in your own rhythm and faster drivers come through, it can be quite intimidating. So good stuff there. Leaders get through. Nobody is either advantaged or disadvantaged as they come through. Christensen corner. Look at Mars. Has a little nip up the inside at turn 5. Holton leaves the door just open and then just closes it gently again.
But behind, how about Neugebauer, able to get to the flank of the Mustang and grab the final step of the podium. Power move there by the Supra driver, and that's now got Paley on the back foot as he tries to counterattack. But Neugebauer's got the job done, headed into the hairpin, turn number 7.
But it's still TGM that lead then. Just after that, they've the 46 of Paul Holton. He's had Luca Mars on his bumper for the majority of those first 37 minutes of the race so far. Doing an amazing job. And Luca Mars now is going to have to, I think, more look in the mirror than out of the windshield, because Neugebauer is really driving well.
Holton has done a wonderful job, because if you just look at the best laps of these first 4 cars, he has the slowest of the bunch by a pretty hefty margin, and yet he's been able to keep it out in front. Really clever driving from the now veteran Paul Holton.
It's 7 seconds from Sean McAllister to this leading quintet. Just keep an eye on that. And we have got the Victor Gonzalez Elantra back on the track. John Miller has taken that car. However, he'll have to come through for a drive-through because they were spinning the wheels up whilst it was on the jacks. On the back straight, the Ullman straight again, throwing up tyre debris. Paul Holton does like that inside line and throwing bits of rubber at his competitors. Here comes the Supra, the black car down the inside. He's making the advantage. He's going to go through in a second here as Luca Mars was trying to take the lead. Couldn't defend on the inside. It's been a great lap for Werner Neugebauer as he's moved up a couple of positions. This one's still being disputed. The argument's still going on into turn 1. The Porsche has the preferred line. Can the Supra sweep around the outside? And there's a touch, a bit of hip and shoulder there from Luca Mars. He was naturally drifting out that way. Now Sam Paley thinks he'll join the party at Christensen corner as he tries to drive up and retake that 3rd position. Fast, furious, exciting and entertaining. That is Michelin Pilot Challenge, absolutely distilled into 25 seconds of racing.
Perfect for the TikToks or the Reels or whatever it is that the social media people do.
You're down with the kids, I like to see that.
Yes,
Peter, yeah.
I like the TikTok, yeah. No, I don't have a TikTok account, but there's nothing, proper fierce racing there between Mars and Neugebauer. Neugebauer does very well to just not lose too much time and to not be overtaken by Sam Paley in the big blue Mustang. Great stuff, really impressive from Werner Neugebauer.
I'm not sure Luca could have done much about that because, again, you can control the car when your Michelin tyres are on the ground, but when you're a couple or 3 inches off the ground bouncing sideways, it's not much you can do. I think Luca has had his right-hand side door mirror folded in as well, so he won't be able to see anything behind him on that side at least. And that's not the side you want to lose, actually. Yeah, he has. So that's how close they were as they were going through turn one. The capping is still on there. Can't see if the glass is still there. I think it is, actually. And Neugebauer now might be able to use that to his advantage and just slip up the outside, but he makes a mistake coming out at turn 16. Almost loses the Supra as he runs the two inside Michelin tyres, the left-hand side Michelin tyres, down the dirt, and through goes Paley. That's how close it is. You make a tiny mistake and you're going to lose a position.
He'll have his coach Cameron Lawrence on the radio trying to calm him down after that one. Oh, so easy to do. You want to use all that curb on exit, open up the exit of the corner, but you drop the wheel and you can see how much it costs you.
I tell you what though, Peter, I think that he deliberately didn't try to come back on there and straightened it up so that he didn't risk damaging the inside wall or shoulder of those left-hand side tyres.
I think he went all 4 tyres off there, but from what I could see. Quite a remarkable car control, but you're right, it really nice and calm. Straighten the wheel up and whether he kept his foot in it or not, I don't know, but loses a position to Sam Paley, but proving that he's quick and giving us some entertainment too, that's for sure. Meanwhile, Paul Holton's extended his advantage to 9/10 of a second as we go past the minimum driver time point.
And let's have a video pit lane report as Joe Bradley has got what might be called a scheduled stop, Bradders.
I think so, because only a few seconds ago the pit stop window did open. We've already completed 40 minutes. Can you even believe that? And the first car, to me, was the number 57 Mercedes of Winward Racing. Just trying to check where that is in the scheme of things. I'm not quite sure if he's
just outside the top 10, Joe, when it came in. Obviously, it's dropping down now as Bryce Ward gets out.
We've got the 96 Turner BMW my end as well. Pit stops take a little bit longer than we kind of get used to in WeatherTech, because we've got the 5 wheel studs to get going. Driver change, obviously, and the 57 underway, the 96 Turner BMW pit stop still going on.
I was about to say NASCAR Cup style, but of course they're centre lug nuts on those cars, looking more and more like GT3s, although I know they don't drive like a GT3 car. So Rebel Rock Racing in and out as well. Frank Depew out of the car, Robin Liddell in. They are the defending champions from last year in this race when the car was only 2 races old. Brilliant strategy and pace from that Rebel Rock Aston Martin. That is one of the new Evo Vantages. So just to update you there, Ted Giovannis out of the number 64 car. That's rejoined. And Robin Liddell also has been installed in the Aston of Rebel Rock Racing.
And because this is a pretty long lap, over 2 minutes around, even those cars that were at the back half of the top 10 or just outside the top 10 have just barely managed to stay on the lead lap, and that is big for them. That's why you can do this strategy without so much risk. Had it been a shorter lap and they dropped a lap, then a yellow could cause some problems, but they were able to get out and stay ahead of the overall leaders. This is basically everyone that's in that bronze subcategory of GS that's electing to get their bronze driver drive time taken care of, get them out of the car. Same story here, Moise Uretsky, much less experienced than Michael Cooper. His drive time is done, and now Michael can take it to the finish.
McLaren for Ibiza Farm Motorsports in the pit lane now. Austin Krantz for Auto Technica as well. Let's check in with Nick Damon to watch the pit stops at his end of the field.
Yeah, we got the multicoloured McLaren, that number 44 car, the Ibiza Farm machine. That's obviously everything's a full service. Everything is tyres, fuel and driver change at this point. Ted Giovannis has got out the TGM 64. Hugh Plum is getting in. As you say, we had the Rebel Rock car, the 71 car came and went a few minutes ago, and just going past me now is the 27 BMW. So there's an awful lot of people who decide that regardless of the colour of any flags on the track, we're getting this driver out after 40 minutes.
27 being the Auto Technica car. Austin Krantz getting out of that. Hello, if you're joining us on the YouTube feed. First time we've made that available to you live, free and uninterrupted in the USA and around the world, courtesy of Michelin. Not even the random YouTube ads in that feed for you today for the Michelin Pilot Challenge and the Alan Jay Automotive 120. 250 GS races today we've clocked up, and it's been brilliant stuff, and it's GS pit lane time. Now everybody's got to come now, Peter, because you don't want to get caught on the wrong side of a safety car.
No, we've almost got to react to the first of the pit callers. Saw the GDC Miller Porsche going in. They might well lose the lead lap now, unfortunately for them. In fact, yes, they will, because the leaders are coming through. Sam Paley's got all the way through.
He's taking the lead. Sam Paley's leading the motor race. Paul Holton in second, Werner Neubauer in third. The RS Porsche is out of that, having pitted.
Yeah.
So, brilliant run. Sam Paley, the last time we looked, was fifth. There's been a couple of pit stops in that top three. Here comes the Toyota Supra on the long-time leader as well, underneath the drive over bridge through turn 6 now as they go towards the Mobile One walk over bridge. They're still side by side, and the braking area in 7. The nose of the Toyota dives down, and he does it round the outside on the brakes. Paul Holton, I think, must be struggling for grip here, gentlemen.
Something must have happened to Paul Holton in that 46 Team TGM Aston, because he was leading, not comfortably, but he was leading, and has lost several positions in one lap. Something not quite right there, I would wager, as the RS1 Porsche takes a pit stop. I presume it will be Jan Halen installed in that car.
Mechanical black flag, the meatball flag for Core and 59 Mustang. So that car has to come in immediately. You can't argue that one. You don't get any gimmies, and you must come in at the next possible opportunity. So in and out for RS1, Jan Halen behind the wheel now. That's not going to slow that car down, is it, putting Jan Halen in? He is a plug-and-play performance accessory.
He is, but so has young Luca Mar's been so far this week. A lot of bodywork falling off the back of the 59 Core Mustang, because this is the car that...
That's why it's got the mechanical black flag.
Yes, exactly, yes. Robert McCallion sharing with Billy Johnson, and to be honest, have they had the pit stop yet? No, they haven't, so they can just take a pit stop as normal. So actually couldn't have happened at really a better time. If it's going to happen, this is the time for it to happen. Of course, Billy Johnson trying to become the most successful driver in Michelin Pilot Challenge history with 25 wins, but Matt Plum trying to do the same thing.
The Paul Sitter and erstwhile leader, the Aston Martin from Team TGM, the number 46 is with Nick Damon in this BDO pit lane report.
And he hits his marks right below him. At the same time, the 39, the green and white and blue, BMW was right behind them, I think, battling for positions. No obvious sign for why we had that short drop off in performance car. They are currently changed the front left and the rear right. Driver change, of course. Paul Holton out, Matt Plum in. Run round, they'll do all 4 tyres. Using an old-fashioned churn to get the fuel in. Some teams use a sort of a pressurised system that the GTP teams do. Some people just put the fuel in with a churn. This one's going pretty well. And they look like they're going to get away, and they are down. Some of the fuel still going in. Actually, the churn actually is a breather. It's the breather side, the churn side. And they are using a full pipe. Back past me goes the 59 Mustang, trailing the whole of the rear diffuser that's fallen off. So even when they pull it off, they're going to have a severe aerodynamic deficiency on that machine. But it will be, I think, a relatively swift stop for that red, white and blue Mustang. Away goes the 46 GM, and for once this head of the pit lane is quite empty.
Waiting for the BMW of Carbon by Peregrine to rejoin as well. And one of the first cars to dive into the pit lane after the 40 minutes. It was pretty much 40 minutes and 13 seconds when I looked up when I heard the call from the pit lane. That was the number 57 Winward Mercedes. Daniel Morad has just put the fastest lap of the race in, 2:11.8, and is now a minute and 38 seconds from the leader. He's not going to get all of that back when the leading cars come in. It's Sam Paley to the front of the field now with the Pan Am Motorsport Toyota Werner Neubauer behind the wheel. But there are plenty of cars ahead that still have to stop, and they've done theirs. And not only have they done theirs, but Ryan, Daniel Morad is flying. Let's have a word with Paul Holton, find out if there was a problem towards the end of that stint in the Paul sitting car. Dropped down to third position. Nick?
Paul, great start, but right at the end there seemed to be a small problem. You lost a bit of time. What was that?
Yeah, we're fighting the tire pressures. So our tire pressures were like 3 psi too high in the rear. So we made a mistake. We've got to go back and look at why that happened. I kind of identified it when I was sitting in the car on the grid. So did the best to manage them as I could. But for anybody who knows, the window on these tires, 3 psi is a lot, and I was working pretty hard in there. And we're really light on our series weight, so we've got no air conditioning, no cool shirt, no blowers. It's just an oven in there.
Yeah, I was about to say you did look like you had quite a warm experience. Just for the general public, what does a car with 3 psi too much in its real tires feel like?
It basically doesn't do anything you really want it to do. Well, actually, the better way to say that is it does everything you ask it to do too much. You turn it in on the brakes and you're chasing the rear end. You ask the rear to take the power coming off the corner, and you're chasing the rear end there too. So I mean, most of the run we ran no TC. I find it a little easier to kind of control it with my foot than rely on a unknown ignition cut that may or may not come in at a random time. But yeah, it's hard work.
Well done. These are cool down, mate.
How about it? I'm from Florida. I like it hot.
Okay, thanks, mate.
Well, what a brilliant explanation there. I thought he was losing a bit of grip. I hadn't realised he'd been struggling with it from the start. That, in fact, was a tremendous stint then from Paul. And it's just an evil handling car. I had a question from Right Turn Lover earlier on about what happens if you cross the yellow line at the pit exits, the merge line. There are penalties there, but just a warning laid out actually to one of the cars out there, but it is just a warning this time around for Eddie Gould and the Go Racing Cupra. So still cars at the front of the field to come in. No, as I say that, we are getting the rest of the cars from the front of the field in. We're going to have a TCR car leading this race, aren't we? It's going to be Celso Neto who leads for Precision Racing.
I think it actually might end up being the 95 from Turner. That, remember, they came in right, well, a lot earlier than everybody else, and they're on an alternate strategy.
Good
and
point.
I do believe they're going to cycle through, but they're definitely on a different sequence, and I still need to try and figure out exactly how that's going to play out.
They came in before the 40 minutes.
That is correct,
so
exactly.
They have to do at least one more pit stop.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
but I believe everyone in GS needs to do one more pit stop
Yes.
too, so I think it comes down to where the yellows fall, and they have the luxury of having two drivers in McInvern and Seldorf of similar pace, so they can try something different. They don't sacrifice when they make a driver change on speed alone, so pretty clever stuff, I think, from Turner. We'll just see if it plays out.
Up at the top of the pit perch again, the Porsche pit perch with Luca Mars from the RS1 team. Luca, another driver looking very, very hot. Those conditions quite hard out there.
Yeah, just trying to keep the car cool, keep myself cool so I can stay my best performance all the way through there.
It seems to be quite aggressive out there. A lot of people have a lot of touches, a lot of people going for moves. Do you feel it was a little bit unnecessary?
I mean, this track is pretty hard to pass at, so when you see a move, you want to try and get that track position while trying to keep the car clean and like don't want to mess up your fenders or knock the toe out of line or anything. So you just try and take what you can get when you can get it. Don't want to be too aggressive though.
Now you came in almost exactly on the 40-minute limit for minimum time for the driver. Jan's gone out. Is it the case that Jan will now take it to the end, or was there a chance you might pop in again for the final stint?
No, Jan's definitely a little quicker than me, so we're going to keep him there for the end. I think it's the right call. We don't have a lot of fuel to go that far, so we kind of thought this was the best move for us.
Great stuff, thank you.
Thank you.
So the strategy beginning to play out as Robbie Foley in the BMW number 96 for Turner Motorsport puts in the fastest lap of the race. So Dylan McIvern does indeed lead, as Ryan Marine suggested. Zach Veach now the fastest GS car for Hattori Motorsport, and the Toyota GR Supra at number 16. It's the black and tan car. Dylan, though, has been in since the start. So, in theory, he can go till just before 40 minutes to the end,
Yes.
if they wanted to.
And
But
that's
no
what
further.
they,
Which they can.
yeah, that's what they have the fuel to do, almost exactly, I
Correct.
believe.
Yeah, they've definitely back-timed it for sure. And what's interesting now is that Jan Halen in the 28 RS1 Porsche is or was, stuck behind, in fact he still is, stuck behind the JDC Porsche, which is trying not to lose another lap. But they actually, in doing so, Jan's actually got stuck behind the two TCR leaders that have just switched around.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a moment, because there's a significant black flag coming, or at least a mechanical black flag for Baker Racing. And Sam Baker, been running at the front of the field, was leading the race when he came into the pit lane in that at number 52. Sorry, that's the Audi, isn't it? My apologies. In TCR. And it's the team that has requested that, so they must have lost communication, as in comes the former leader of TCR, that's Chelsea Neto for Precision Racing LA, and Joe Bradley has this BDO pit lane report as he comes down with the windscreen wipers going, Joe.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't mean to do that. The young Brazilian has found some cracking pace to get this car and led the race, didn't he? The car has come in. It's a little bit early, just within the hour, but you know what? We're about to plug in Ryan Eversley, the old hand that can now take this car to the flag, and within that time frame. 2 drive-through penalties I'm hearing for this car, so this is going to put it massive. Going to put it out of. That's another car. So the number 7 with Neto. Wipers are still going, by the way. No sign of any red, so I'm sure Ryan, when he gets settled, he will flick that off. Neto onto the wall. Fuel going in. Wheels are on. Wheels are done up. Just shaking the last dregs of fuel there. So the refueler hitting the refueling mechanism, refueling hose for some reason. I'm not sure what. Maybe the last dregs aren't going in, and this is taking a little bit longer than I think it should. Fuel is still on. Fuel is still on. He's not happy.
Sounds to me, Joe, as if he didn't get that fuel on properly in the first place, or it's not latched, and therefore he's not getting it all in. It's the 54 that's got the 2 penalties for the pit lane. First of all, for too many crew over the wall, and then tyres left without a crew member keeping an eye on them. So that's the Toyota Super Caio Chavez behind the wheel of that car for Pan Am Motorsport. That's ruining their day. They were sharp, right, second place, of course, they were running.
Exactly. That's the car that Werner Neugebauer started in this race, and 2 drive-through penalties. That might be too much to overcome with just over an hour to go. Really curious about that pit stop, though, in TCR, because we feel comfortable that they can go an hour or thereabouts. That was an hour 5 when they came in. That feels early without some yellow to help them home.
Peter Mackay, it's back. If you'd looked at the grid sheet, looked at now, you'd say, oh, Bryson Morris has gone from second to first. Not much happened there.
So, yeah, and those the Audi and the Honda were very strong. But I think particularly the Audi, it was an amazing job by Chelsea Neto. But remember, he's a bronze-traded driver. He had lots of silver drivers behind him, and a fantastic job from him to hold that off. But those crucial seconds in the pit stop, if this race goes all the way green, that's going to really, really punish them. What also punished Jan Halen in second place was he got stuck behind the JDC Porsche, which is running a lap down, trying not to lose another one. He was also in there with the TCR leaders. So the gap at the front now to Dylan McIvern is 7 seconds.
Hello to Brian D, who's watching on YouTube. The first time in the USA. No ads, not even the random YouTube ads either, thanks to Michelin. And he's in Rosewood, Connecticut. Kentucky. Rosewood to Kentucky. Can't wait for Robin Liddell to do his usual great charge to the front. He's just put the fastest lap of the race in, Brian. So he is getting towards the top 10 now in that number 71 Rebel Rock Racing. At IMSA Racing, if you'd like to get in touch with us here at the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre. Dylan McIvern leads for Turner Motorsport. He's not yet got out of the car. To go down for a BDO pit lane report, Joe Bradley has one of the starting drivers.
Chelsea Neto had the number 7 absolutely on the edge there. You found some great pace there to get yourself into the front of the field. How easy was that? I mean, you made it look easy, but I bet it wasn't.
Yeah, definitely not easy. This is a challenging racetrack, super high speed. And the bumps really throw the car off into the corner on the balance. But overall, the Precision Racing Light gave me a really, really fast Audi off the bat. Super stable in the high-speed corners. I knew that was our strong suit, so I had to use it. The Hyundais and the Honda are really, really fast sector 2 in the low-speed corners, so we really wanted to use the most of our advantage there, which is the high-speed corners, and we chucked it in a few times, made some good moves, used some GS cars as a pick and roll, so super happy with that stint. Can't thank my team enough. Ryan Eversley, my co-driver, gonna finish it off now, so yeah, let's keep pushing. Only my second race in TCR, so super excited with that start.
And we kind of thought that it might be a little bit early. Do you think Ryan can get the car to the edge?
Yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting race here. Hasn't been any cautions yet. That's out of the normal here at a Michelin Pilot Challenge, so we'll see. I think we got a good car for the long run, so I know he'll do a good job saving. He's a super experienced driver, many Rolex 24-hour starts, so I have all the faith I can in him and my team. But yeah, it's part of the strategy, see if it works out.
Thank you.
Joe Bradley and the BDO pit lane report. Maddie Oust, I think, might be struggling for fuel pressure out there in the number 9 Brian Herter Autosport with Curve Agajanian Hyundai Elantra. She stopped. It's just coming out of Cunningham Corner. She's got it going again. Actually, at Cunningham Corner now. Stop coming out of turn 7. She's wiggling the car left and right and keeps cycling through. Not sure if there's a reserve or there's an extra fuel pump she can use to try and get the last dregs out, but she's only halfway around the track at the moment as she's trying to get towards the back of the pits. But this is going to be a hard old thing to do for Maddie. She's doing the right thing and shaking the car around. Now she's given up. She's pulled off to the right hand side. There is a cut through there. We'll stay green. We will stay green. And I absolutely thought for sure, Ryan, that when that car was on the grass, dead stick, that we were going yellow.
So did Brian Herta Autosport, because they just called Bryson Morris in right at the 1 hour mark, so it's on schedule. But I think that when they knew the team car was having the issue, and they immediately called their front-running car in to cover for the full course yellow. If it had gone yellow, they would have been sitting pretty. I think, Peter, you picked up on that right away.
Yeah, and I have to say, you got to commend Brian Herta Autosport for the sportsmanship there, because they could have just said to Maddie, just let it sit.
Right.
Oh yeah, turn it off, and gone for it. And you know that wouldn't have been sporting, but they didn't do that.
That's not Brian.
That wouldn't have been cricket or Brian Herta.
It would not have been Brian Herta.
Right,
RS Porsche.
Yeah, RS1. Now this is not for position for the RS1 Porsche. Jan Heelan, he's trying desperately to get a lap on Mikey Taylor. Mikey Taylor saying, no, please don't put me another lap down. We've had a hard weekend. Leave me alone.
That's another GT4 Cayman with the driver's side door mirror folded in with close combat. Or maybe it's just they've done that deliberately because, with the passenger side mirror folded in. More aerodynamic, of course.
Well, you might wonder, why is Mikey Taylor fighting this hard? This is not the leader that's behind him. This is second place, but it will effectively become the leader when McIvern pits, because he's on a different sequence, a different cycle. And this is hurting Halen, as you pointed out. He caught traffic earlier, lost a lot of gap to McIvern in the BMW, and now it's backed him up to Westphal. This is a good recovery for the Carbon team. McAllister got them off to a good start, had a little bit to go against them in that first stint, but now that BMW is looking strong again. So this is effectively the 28 Porsche and then the 39 BMW. It's effectively the fight for the lead on this strategy.
On this strategy,
correct.
Yes, but I think if you get a timely yellow, I mean, it's free tacos scenario for Turner, because they rolled the dice and they're
only 6 seconds up the road, Peter.
Yeah, but they were nowhere near the front prior to that, so it can at least launch them into the fight.
No, I agree with that. That was calculated at, what was it, just around about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
When they came in. Their last pit stop was on lap 13, so yeah, just under 30 minutes.
There was, I believe, 1 hour and 33 minutes on the clock when they came in, because it came out that there would be 40 minutes left if they went the full distance. That's what they were trying to do, and it worked for, well, we'll get to why it worked in a moment, because here comes Halen. I think this time maybe he can get the move made.
Mikey Taylor trying everything possible, and JDC Miller in the Michelin Pilot Challenge with this 718 GT4. They've had a really hard weekend. They've had some technical problems which they've had Porsche helping them trying to fix, but it's not been easy for them, for the reigning TCR champions. Now McAllister trying to go by. Now I think Mikey Taylor's now got to actually let it go now, because it's now going, okay, well, the lap's gone, we'll try and get it back another way.
With Mason, Felipe Mason, it's very hectic out there.
Yeah, it's really hectic out there. It's a great battle between the top 4 there. So that's what we like to see in TCR. These cars, they race so well, and they were so evenly matched. And so I was having quite a bit of fun watching the battle, being in the battle, and saving a lot of fuel, because who knows if it'll go all green.
Did you come in a bit earlier than you planned? It seemed that normally you think you give it a stretch across the hour, but it all came in just before the hour.
Yeah, I mean, we had an unexpected huge cutout that we thought was fuel related, which was a bit early, so we had to come in pretty quick, and we made it all the way back around the track. Luckily, it was right at turn 1, so we were really happy to make it back to the pits.
Was it fuel related or something else?
It was fuel related, yeah.
So you're going to have to say a bit more in the next one?
Yeah, we'll see.
Thanks, Mason. Just a quick thing, John. These TCR cars, of course, just changed their front wheels during a pit stop, which means they got very warm rear tyres. There's a number of teams in tomorrow's main race who are going to find their lovely marked out pit boxes have disappeared because the tape has been wrapped around the rear tyres of a TCR car. So 2 of the cars at least having ripping up a good 3 or 4 metres and running around. Of course, they'll throw it back off that tyre very, very quickly. But it does mean that if you've really beautifully marked out your pit box, your GTP car, you need to bring more tape.
Yeah, very good. Hello to Peter Croft at IMSA Radio. You hate to see cars retire, but major kudos to the drivers who successfully pulled off the course to keep the race green. Totally agree with you there, Peter. And he has the latest to do just that. Battle for second, which is first on this strategy as it stands right now. These 2 cars have the drivers in it who can go to the end. They don't have the fuel to go to the end, but they do have the driver to the end. And here comes the much larger BMW. A little touch there, left front on right rear. BMW on Porsche. The BMW gets alongside. I think the nose might have been ahead for a moment, but the inside, Jan Halen holds on to it. The BMW is going to run out the road. Nice driving by Jan Halen, absolutely fair. Left a BMW M4's width, but not very much more than that on the outside of the corner. Those are the IMSA rules. He had to leave him that amount of room because he was right alongside him. Now, can the BMW drag up again? Quite remarkable, Ryan, to see these 2 cars and the relative sizes of these 2 cars battling together, and that's what we were talking about earlier on. Data-driven BOP. Incredible stuff.
Just to the naked eye, you would think there'd be no contest between the 2, but thanks to the technical staff at IMSA, we get treated to this. And now that these 2 are clear of the traffic, they're starting to run down McIvern a little, who is on older tires, about 10, 13 laps older tires as well. What the Turner team needs, starting now, in the next 13 minutes, they need a full course yellow, because everyone could make it home from there. And then they're basically on the same strategy as the rest of the front runners. Now, they'd have a longer pit stop than the rest of the front runners, but they were a fringe top 10 car when they rolled the dice on strategy. This now has them in the mix, if not for a win, then for a podium.
It's 7 laps better on tyres that Dylan McIvern has on Jan Halen, and 6. Sorry, no, and do that the other way around.
Yeah.
It's Jan Halen has 7 lap younger tyres, and Jeff Westphal has 8 lap younger tyres than the leader at the moment. Now, the performance offset at the moment is around about 8 to 9 tenths of a second, as Jan Halen has just put the fastest lap of the race in for that second placed Porsche. But that's only going to get worse for Dylan McIvern. That isn't going to get any better.
Right. Yeah, that's what they were up against here. But this was a roll of the dice. This was predicated on the fact that they knew on outright pace, talking to Will Turner, they probably weren't going to race through the pack, get to the front, and challenge for a win. This was something they could do to alter the strategy in this race and put them in a position to contend. Really done a nice job of that. Now they just need to see how the cards fall.
Yeah, personal best there from Jan Halen. He's really starting to get the hammer down. 2 minutes 12.3. It's still not quite on what Robin Liddell said with the 2:12.3 for Halen. 2:11.5 is the fastest lap of the race for Robin Liddell. Michael Cooper's
now up in 10th, by the way.
Yeah, Michael Cooper in 6th for Ibiza Farm McLaren, and trying to make up positions as quick as possible.
Right, 51 minutes to go. Significant pit stop. Joe Bradley with this BDO pit lane report.
Robin Liddell has brought the number 71 Aston Martin, the Rebel Rock Racing car, onto pit road. He's taking on a churn of fuel. That is 25 litres, if my memory serves me, and he's taken on 4 tyres. Not even a hint of him changing drivers. So, you know what? We knew that, didn't we? He's back out.
Yeah, that white churn is the vent churn that goes on the side of the car to allow the air to escape as the fuel goes in. So we know now that the GS cars can do 50 minutes.
Well, they can, but it's quite tight.
Oh, mistake. Right in front of the GR Supra. That's the number 16 Kelly and Partners car going round turn number 7. And was that the Mustang, or was that a...
I thought it was a TCR car at first glance.
It might have been. Right, I think then in that case, if it was a TCR car, then it would have been... Let me work out where they were on the track. I think it was the 38? No, that's a GS car. So...
Looked like they would be able to carry on, so... let's see. I think
that was Johnny Barrow in the Audi.
I think for certainly an eventful day for them. I would think for Robin Liddell, it's going to be fairly tight on fuel. I would say it's going to have to be a little bit conservative on fuel usage. Not a huge fuel save, but a little bit, I would think. And certainly a full course yellow would be perfect because it would filter him right to the front.
That's exactly what they're hoping for, quite right. And that's what Rebel Rock has done so well over the years, doing something strategic to get themselves in the mix. Probably without a yellow, they weren't going to be able to get to the front anyway. And now I think that the floodgates are open, John.
And following the pit stop of Robin Liddell in the Rebel Rock Racing Aston Martin, Matt Plum turns into pit lane for the Team TGM Aston Martin. Again, this is a front-running car, tells you all you need to know. But that's one lap more into the race. Jan Heylen, Jeff Westphal, both doing their best laps last time around. Those are the two cars that are battling for second and third, the RS1 red, white and black Porsche and the grey and highlighted green BMW. And both of those cars turning their fastest lap as they tried to chase down Dylan McIvern. He was in the 12s last time for the first time for a little while. 12.7, 9.3 against a 12 flat and an 11.7 for Jeff Westphal.
If I could, I'd like to amend myself talking about the 95 and what they need. I thought that a yellow would help them, but actually I don't think that's the case because they're going to have a longer stop.
Correct.
So any gap that they can have is to their benefit, and they should be approaching the window here. They're going to have to put more fuel in, and they'll have to do the driver change because we haven't seen Francis Seldorf yet. I wonder if this is the time.
I think he's coming. It looked like he was on the right line. Yeah, he comes into the pit. Now, you might say, well, he could go to nearly 40. You do not want Peter to push it that far in case there is a full course yellow and you can't get in.
They haven't had one yet, so they're like, let's get in before there is one, because then they can, if the yellow then does come out, they will be able to cycle.
So this is the final pit stop for this car.
Yes.
We've got two other cars who've done the final pit stop. So what we've got to watch here is where this number 95 BMW comes out for the Turner BMW car, as opposed to the TGM Aston number 46 and the 71 Rebel Rock Racing. Those are the cars who are fueled to the finish of the race. Let's go to Nick Damon for a BDO pit lane report.
Yeah, we've got the RS1 Porsche and the Carbon BMW both in. The Carbon, unfortunately, is actually behind the bridge, so I can't see him. So the Carbon car apparently is changing drivers in the BMW. The RS1 car, we spoke to Luca Miles. We know that Jan Heylen is staying on board, and there we go, and away they go with the 28. And the Carbon car, the Carbon car's got ahead. The Carbon car came down behind the RS1. They've got past on the pit lane.
That's why the pit stops are so important. BMW, the bigger car ahead, and these cars battling for a podium position in my mind here, Peter.
No question about that. And Carbon, well, bearing in mind that they were involved in a altercation with the number 13 Mustang, and were able to recover from that, and boy oh boy are they recovering from that. So that filters Stephen McAleer, car number 27, to the front of the field now, with Michael Cooper in the McLaren up there in second. Now, yep, clean, not an unsafe release or anything like that. Clean as you like. Great work from the Carbahn crew to get that BMW M4 fueled up, new tires, and off it went.
Do we know if they took 4 tires or just 2? Because that would have been a short fill. I don't know that.
It can't be a short fill. They need the fuel to the end.
Right, but they didn't have a. They didn't run a full stint. Let's
sorry,
say,
yes,
right?
I see what you mean. Yes.
They're kind of short pitted here, so they had less fuel that needed to go in. And with that in mind, given how long the 5 lug nuts take, I wonder if they could have gone for 2 tires instead of 4. Love to get an answer to that if we could.
So does the Porsche have 4 new tires on, and does the BMW have only 2?
Right.
You're right. That's critical. That's absolutely critical.
Or if they're on the same sequence too. My thought is, if it's a time fill and you've got time for 2, you do the 2, and you wouldn't take the extra time to put on 2 more. But we'll see what we can find out.
Nick Damon believes they took all 4.
Okay.
It's 4 new Michelins. Ibiza Farm Motorsports McLaren Artura leads with Michael Cooper. And they have been down the pit lane. They came down on lap 20. So that is a genuine position for them, but yet to do their last pit stop. There are cars behind them, of course, that will take advantage of that. Now, remind ourselves that we're back in 2020 when they were running the Camaro. Rebel Rock Racing won this with Robert Liddell, who borrowed Richard Westbrook's pink fluffy bunny fuel-saving slippers. They did it on 1 stop.
Yeah, I could see how that. I mean, Robin Liddell's won here at Sebring 4 times in this category. Goodness me, to win a 5th would be remarkable, but I think it's going to take a quirk of strategies. Jan Halen gets a little bit pinched in by the 72 Hyundai TCR of Larry Pegram, and nothing he could really do there, so just lost at least half a second, maybe even more. So Halen's going to have to get right back down to business. Also, you have to feel for the number 7 Precision LA Audi. Now with Ryan Eversley on board, they came into the pits in the lead, but they lost 18 seconds with that delay with the fuel.
Yeah, it sounds to me as though that fuel hose didn't latch properly, and it was either starting or stopping, or it had popped off part way through.
And they were in early too, let's not forget. They were 65 minutes or thereabouts still left in the race, so
the fuel is always going to be the determining factor in terms of the length of a pit stop. At least it should be. So you should be able to get your 4 tyres and your driver change done if you are doing that when you're putting a full tank of fuel in fairness. But that was too long. That was too long.
Michael Cooper in the 44 Ibiza Farm McLaren, they're a little bit exposed now, because if they get a full course yellow now, they're in big trouble, because everyone else is fueled up. They don't need to come in, whereas the McLaren does, so they kind of need to cover everyone off here. I would say they're likewise the 67 Porsche of Morgan Burkhardt.
Yeah, those are the last 2 cars in that top 7, 8, 9 cars. Where are we? Actually 12 cars, so the top dozen. It's only the first 2, the McLaren Artura Michael Cooper car and the Morgan Burkhardt Porsche 718. Those are the only 2 who have yet to do their last stop. They stopped respectively on lap 20 and 21. So, and we are now working lap number 34. So they've got a bit more to go, but it doesn't help them. The reason we said it doesn't help, if there's a yellow, there'll be people over in Europe going, no, a yellow would be great, they get a free pit stop. Only if they got in before the pit was closed. The pits are closed here once there is a yellow coming. And so they'd have to premeditate or predict that coming. Yes, they've got a nice big gap back to Jeff Westphal in the number 39 car in 3rd position. Some 50 seconds, but it doesn't work if the pits have been closed. Dylan McIvern is with Joe Bradley down in the pit lane for this BDO pit report. So they did they did it the opposite way to everybody else. They let Dylan do up to 40-odd minutes to go and then brought him in. So find out what the strategy thoughts were from Joe in this BDO report.
These 2-hour races, Dylan, shouldn't be confusing for me, but it's not a high benchmark in fairness. You guys did it completely different to everyone. They kept you in the car till, what, 45 minutes remaining?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't have the ultimate pace of some of the other cars out there, but what our G82 Turner Motorsports BMW does have is really good long-run pace, especially in the heat. So we use that to our advantage today. You know, Don in the pit box and the rest of the guys called a great strategy that put us in a unique position. Francis is in now, and he can take it all the way home. So we're really looking forward to seeing how this race played out. Like I said, the G82 does a great job when it's hot and greasy, and that's exactly what we have today at Sebring. So we're looking forward to a good show.
So as a driver, you're sat there, you're just waiting for the instruction, you know, drive fast, we'll tell you when to come in.
Yeah, exactly. We had a pretty good idea of what we were going to do coming into the race, but it's definitely a little nerve-wracking. It got quiet on the radio there for a couple minutes. I had to check and make sure Don was still there, but it was a really enjoyable stint, and looking forward to a great closeout to the race.
Great team effort as well. Thanks, Dylan.
39 minutes to go then here in the Alan Jay Automotive 120. It's Michael Cooper for IMSA McLaren who leads, but does owe us a pit stop. And so your net lead, likewise Morgan Burkhardt, your net leader is Jeff Westfall in that number 39 Carbahn BMW, and of course this is a new version of the BMW M4. It's the Evo version. The Evo version of the GT3 BMW M4 has had a very successful inceptions with a couple of big wins in the Middle East in January, and looking very, very strong in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship as well. But I'm sure BMW Motorsport would be delighted to see the first win for that car on the day that they took pole for the 73rd Global 112 Hours of Sebring.
In the 50th anniversary of BMW USA.
And tomorrow is the 50th anniversary to the day of the founding of BMW USA.
That is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
These things don't often happen like that. A little bit of a problem for the LAP Honda, sorry. That's $10 for me in the swear jar. It's Precision Racing LA with the 37 number, which is why I made the mistake that I associate with LAP and the Pericarpes, but that Audi is back onto the track after going off at the exit of the carousel. We've had the number 9 car, Matty Outs, back from behind the wall, as in from the lead is the McLaren Artura, the Ibiza Farms Motorsport. It's our last stop, Nick Damon.
Yeah, really interesting actually, because the mechanics have been pushing up the number 9 of Matty House, that Hyundai that ran out of fuel, but actually it was right where they got to. It was right in the position of where the Ibiza Farm McLaren wanted to dive into the pit. As it turned out, they had to turn in about 4 boxes too early and run down the inner lane. I'm sure it's absolutely fine. Don't think it lost too much time. The mechanics have stopped pushing Matty House's car, and they're sitting behind that multicoloured McLaren. Just the final nuts, 5 of the 20 nuts have to come off. The last one's gone, but as always, fuel was the longest thing. He comes out, and away he goes. A little bit of a delay, and off he goes, and now they can carry on pushing that stricken Hyundai.
We're getting very close to the outright race lap record, because Daniel Morad is on a charge right now for Windward Racing. He got in at the earliest opportunity, taking over from his teammate Bryce Ward. He's just set a 2:10.858. That is quite a bit quicker than the fastest lap last year, which was a 2:11.5 for Trent Hidman in the RS1 Porsche. The outright record was set 2 years ago by Robbie Foley, a 2:10.378. So we're getting towards that now, but Morad is he's like, yeah, I could have a yellow, but I think I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. I think I'll just run down the whole field with just pure pace. He's absolutely flying in that little blue Mercedes.
Yeah, been out for 3 laps on those new Michelin tyres, so he's still quite heavy. Got enough fuel to get to the end. So right now then, Morgan Burkhardt leads, but also his final stop. The gap between his Porsche from CSM to Jeff Westphal, the de facto leader of the race, is 27 seconds now. So obviously he can't make a pit stop in that time. So they're just going to stay out.
The graphic's wrong. Westphal is leading by just a couple of car lengths. The graphics wrong.
Yeah, that's the battle right there on our screen.
Yeah.
Westphal and
So
the
Michael
BMW.
Michael Cooper. So Mergen Burkhardt's not leading the race.
No, he is leading the race,
but the gap between Westphal and Halen is not 28 seconds.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
that is strange.
About 2.
And Burkhardt's last pitted on lap 21.
That's because Westphal and Halen have changed. Have they swapped places on this lap? No.
No, they're on screen. This is battle for position. Yeah,
this is how they've run since the pit stop, remember.
Okay,
now it's updated.
Right, so, as I said, 26 seconds. Sorry, I was ahead of the graphic. 26 seconds is the lead, as I said, between Burkhardt and Westphal. Exactly what I said. He can't get in and out in that time. He's going to drop down. He's been out there since lap 21. He can't get to the end, and there's unless we have probably the better part of 25 minutes of safety car, he can't get to the end.
Right. I'm curious about that strategy. It's a more exaggerated version of the strategy that the Cooper Uretsky accelerating performance team used.
He's lapping in 2:12.6.
About a
which
second
1,
off.
2, 3, 4 cars behind him are quicker, but everybody behind that, or the majority of the cars behind that, are about on his own pace. So he's not losing ground to, let's say, Matt Plum, who's 45 seconds behind him, to Francis Seldorf, who's 45 seconds behind him, to Jensen Altman, 48, Michael Cooper, a minute. Robin Liddell is a little bit quicker than him, but he's a minute and 1 second. Billy Johnson, 68 seconds further back, and he's not losing that much ground to them. That's where he's going to kind of drop in. They're looking for a top 10 out of that car. That's what they've done with this.
Right, yeah, that wasn't necessarily a strategy play to win. Same thing for Turner. They were running 8th, 9th when they rolled the dice.
8th, yeah.
Yeah, now they find themselves, I think, 6th, and when that car pits, they should go up one more spot. So, you know, you gain a couple of spots here and there, and that can make all the difference in the championship as Burkhardt does peel off on this lap for CSM.
Half an hour to go, so spot on where we expected it to go. Now the question will be, how much fuel do they put in and how many tyres? I think this might be left sides only on this car, and they go to work. It's quite difficult to fill the 718s because it's on the front, and it's quite difficult to get the downward pressure. Being the smoothest of tyre changes, and he's quite close to the wall, is that, left sides only, and then they're waiting for the fuel. Fuel comes out. That's good tactics.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Really
this
smart.
is not for a win. Absolutely spot on, Ryan. You said this is not for a win, but this is to push them up the standings.
Yeah, give them credit. I was trying to figure out how this would work, but their pace, you're quite right. I was only looking at the top 4 cars behind them, but everyone else behind.
From Burkhardt.
Yeah.
Compared to the people he's actually racing.
Precisely. Yeah, that's why it works. And then they do the relatively short fill to go the final 32 minutes, only the 2 tires, and then you get some track position out of it.
So now we have a little bit of a replay of Daytona, albeit with one of the 2 main characters from that pantomime. We have Jeff Westphal leading the race. Oh, yes, he did. Wait a minute, don't let Nick Damon in on that one. Yep. Jeff Westphal leads the race then net. Car number 39 for Carvan. Just 1.2 seconds behind him is Jan Halen. So that is basically your head-to-head battle over the next 32 minutes, if we stay green. However, the big story for me is 8.5 seconds further back from them is Daniel Morad, who appears to have had his Weetabix, his porridge, and goodness knows what else today, because he's driving the wheel nuts off that Mercedes, and he is chasing that gap down. He was a second quicker than Halen last lap by.
He passed Matt Plum a couple of laps ago for position and just has that head down now, already sitting on the final step of the podium, but it's not out of the question that he could run down the top couple with 31 minutes to go.
He's lapping a good half a second quicker consistently than the guys ahead every lap, and sometimes it's more than that. We've seen Daniel Morad do some extraordinary things before. We know that Mercedes-AMG GT4 is a good car. And credit Bryce, by the way. Bryce Ward did the first stint in that car. We never called his name. And I've said this to Bryce before, don't think I'm ignoring you when we just didn't need to. He was doing his job, and he passed the car over with all the winglets on it, no dents, no issues, well on the lead lap, and Morad has done the job from there on. He's 9 seconds off the lead, 7.5 from second, and he is catching those cars half a second per lap. Stephen McAlee has just put the fastest lap of the race in for the BMW of Auto Technic Racing. That's the number 27 car in 6th place, 2:12.006. It's 27 Celsius in the air, 23 on the track. Beautiful day here. That's 73 Fahrenheit on the track, 81 in the air. Beautiful conditions, 45% humidity. It doesn't feel actually quite as sticky as that outside. When I was outside during the lunch break, we could not ask for better weather.
Fight for 8th, 9th, and 10th starting to erupt here. Morgan Burkhardt tried to make the two-tire strategy work. He's going to have to nurse the two that they didn't change on that stop to the finish. And Michael Cooper has him in the crosshairs, but lurking right behind is Robin Liddell, who has been really fast as well. He's only a second adrift of this battle, so I think we'll have 3 cars from 3 different manufacturers going for these positions here in the back half of the top 10 before long.
And if you get a caution in any time in the next 20 minutes, all of a sudden all of these characters are all going to bunch together, and it'll be, well, all arms and elbows.
It will indeed. We've got a Aston. I thought he was going a little bit slow, but no, he's not. The Aston Martin going nicely. Matt Plum trying to become the most successful driver of all time in this series. If you're just joining us for the first time in the US on the IMSA YouTube channel, with no blocks and no breaks, not even those random YouTube ads popping up, and that is courtesy of Michelin. Say thank you to Bib and the rest of the team for this broadcast to you. If you're outside the US, welcome back, because you've been able to do this for a little while. And if you've just come in and think, well, what's happened? How did we get here? Don't forget, you can rewind and go all the way back an hour and a half to the start of the race. It was pretty good, I can tell you. Thanks again to everyone at Michelin North America for the consideration on the broadcast.
Michelin, they had a lot of fun with Monsieur Bibendum, the Michelin man, before Daytona. If you go into their social media, go into Instagram, and you'll see the Michelin man playing thumb wars with Jordan Taylor, with Renger van der Zande, with Felipe Nasser. They also played rock, paper, scissors, and, well, the Michelin man, he beat them all.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, he's got rock, paper, scissors and rubber.
But in the thumb war, he has these massive thumbs, so he just bang. No.
Thumb's dynamite, though, isn't it? Does that mean anything?
Well, in a thumb war, if you've got big thumbs, it's dynamite.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to move back to the racing. 8.3 seconds. Daniel Morad, that lap, lost a little bit of time to the leaders as Jeff Westphal put in an 11.7, 12.2 for Jan Helen, and 10.8. This is
Morad got quite a bit of time in the last lap.
Yeah.
It's 5.9 is now the gap up to Halen. So yeah, he's closing the gap down still. It's Morad. I mean, in the previous lap, he was 0.3 of a second quicker through turn 1 alone.
Wow.
This is going to be one of those that this is like a horse racing handicap, isn't it? Where it all comes together right at the end, and that's kind of how it's meant to be. And as far as the strategies are concerned, they've played out very well.
It's been fun to watch, and, well, there's something I could say that I'm not going to say because I learned my lesson in Daytona. But the way the race has played out, let's put it that way, with the relatively clean nature of it all, that's allowed us to have these varying strategies now all coming together. How about this side-by-side stuff, though, as Greg Leofouge goes around the outside of Zach Veach. That was side-by-side for a good chunk of the lap, John. Really good stuff.
Just watching these times now. The top 3, by the way, changed their Michelin tyres on exactly the same lap. So they're all pitted on lap number 33. So no tyre advantage. Matt Plum, 32. In 4th place, Francis Seldorf, 33, 34 for Stephen McAleer. Stephen McAleer is only 22 seconds off the lead. And again, if we look at Robin Liddell is a second away from Michael Cooper for 9th place, and another 8/10 away from Morgan Burkhardt for 8th place. So there's Morgan Burkhardt, and the strategy for that car, the CSM car, they're now in 8th position. That was the strategy that was playing out there.
Yes.
And if you look at Rebel Rock Racing, Robin Liddell is now in the top 10.
And the amazing thing about that is with no safety car interventions to bunch the field back up. Well, it is. I mean, that's what's interesting about it. It's not normally when they're doing stuff with strategy, they're doing it to take advantage of a safety car and eliminate any gap that was lost in the opening stint, quite frankly. But they haven't had that luxury, and Robin Liddell has had to do it all with his driving. And he's done a masterful job of it, as usual.
Amazing.
He's maximised what's there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Take the points. That's how you win championships. You know, other people have bad days. You have not so bad days. Or if you've got a package that's a 15th position car in a field of 25 and you finish in the top 10, then you've outperformed what you've got, and you can scheme and plan and whatever you need to do to get that done. Liddell up 10 positions from their starting spot on the grid, and that's what you've got to look at in the holistic approach to motor racing, and there you have the reason that these drivers do what they do, Peter.
1.7 seconds quicker for Daniel Morad over Jan Halen. Quite remarkable. He was 1.3 seconds quicker than your leader Jeff Westphal. So now Morad has 3.5 seconds ahead of him to get to Halen, but then the issue is he's got to try and get past Halen. That's not the work of a moment at all. One of the hardest guys to pass in American sports car racing. The problem is there's another 3.5 seconds to go beyond to get to Jeff Westphal. I think Daniel Morad would quite like a yellow right now.
Let's go down to Joe Bradley down in the BTO pit lane reporting team. We've just been talking about Robin Liddell and that number 71 car up inside the top 10. Frank Depew did his part at the top. Did have a little whoopsie, but stayed on the lead lap, Joe. And they're now in a top 10 position, and that could get better with 2 cars within 2 seconds of Robin. That means that they're in his sights.
Robin bring this to the flag. He's driving a Stormer. Steady first stint from you, though.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with my stint. I'm not happy with my qualifying. You know, I got forward quite a bit, but it would have been nice to have started at a better position. So now Robin's having to work really hard. I think we're in a position where, you know, without any mishaps or yellow flags or anything, we can maybe finish in the top 8. But if we have some other things going on, I think we got a better shot. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
Is there any kind of plan where you foresee that at the start? Is there any kind of plan where you foresee this at the start of this race, or do you just take it as it comes? You can't hear. You just have to take things as it comes, or was there any plan?
No, the plan was to not get aggressive at the start. You know, there were people in front of me holding me up, but the idea was, you know, jamming it in or trying to do something like that wasn't going to end well. So I just sort of took my time, waited for things to settle out, and then just picked people off one by one.
Thank you, Frank. Good stuff. So far, so good. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely right, doing his job. And Robin Liddell now locked on to Michael Cooper and Morgan Burkhardt, see if he can get those positions. I think Frank's summation of that is absolutely spot on. The other team who stopped early and got their non-pro driver out, that was Bryce Ward in the Windward AMG, and Daniel Morad at the moment still the fastest man on the track, and that gap to the leader, which was 9.7, is now 6.5 seconds, Ryan. He's picking his way through traffic. He's got the advantage of having a nice set of traffic because he's not coming across clumps of cars. He's picking them off one by one.
And he's so aggressive when he needs to be, but precise. He makes sure that the car he's approaching knows what his intentions are with the way he positions the car on the track. This is what we've seen Daniel and this team do over the last couple of years. And when you give the chance to Daniel Morad to just put his head down in charge, he is as good at that as anyone in this GS field. That's been proven time and time again. Outstanding driver, and now he's got the target acquired. It's right there in the crosshairs. He can see second on the racetrack, and he knows the faster he can make that move, the faster he's got a chance to go for the win.
Yeah, and again, if you've got a late race yellow, if you've got that track position, you've then got the opportunity to go at Westfall straight away. So yeah, Morad with a big slide there coming through Le Mans curve. He's throwing everything at it. I mean, everything and more here. The double Rolex 24-hour at Daytona winner.
Well, Bryce Ward, I'm interfering with you watching your team. They're doing a cracking job there, making ground on everybody. Currently third.
Yeah, you know, first of all, thanks. My hats off to you guys doing all the broadcasting. Truly couldn't do this without you, so thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. But you know, I had a great first 20 minutes. Not such a good 20 minutes on the last sort of 20 minutes. I just had no grip out there, lost a bunch of time, and turned it over to Daniel in not such a great spot. But you know, he's made up for it, and the team has done a fantastic job getting up there again. So really, really excited to see where we end. Can't take my eyes off it, so you know, holding thumbs for Daniel. Let's see where we end up in the end.
I mean, you know what? I love chatting to Daniel. He's a great person. He's a great human being, and he can pedal a race car like that. I mean, you've got yourself a cracking teammate there.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he's a wonderful guy. He runs an unbelievable squad called the M Squad. We do a lot of iRacing together, and without them, I wouldn't be here where I am today. You know, they help me every weekend. They take time out of their precious days, take time away from their families and wives to help me out. So truly, I love working with them and couldn't have done it without them. So hats off to them.
Thank you, Bryce. I'll leave you to watch that because he's on the back of Jan Halen now, and I'm sure you want to watch that. I'm just up on the high pit perch with Bryce, and he's got a TV screen on a table, and he's absolutely glued to the TV. Thank you, Bryce.
Why would you not be, Joe? Absolutely right. And it's TCR traffic in the shape of the Honda Civic of Tim Lewis that has just eased him down. He caught him in the worst possible place where Tim was quick and couldn't get through. We talked about that middle sector where the TCRs are strong, and 2.5 seconds at the start of the lap has completely evaporated, and we've got the battle that we were hoping for second. And all the while, by the way, now that means Daniel Morad is under 5 seconds away from the leader. If Peter Mackay, he can get what you call that little Mercedes past this car in a reasonable clip.
Even more little Porsche. It's the Battle of Stuttgart here. Weissach versus Alf Alterbach here. But Jan Halen, yes, he's clearly not got the pace in the car of what Daniel Morad's had right now. But you've got to make that pass. And Halen will make this as difficult as possible to make it for Morad to pass. He has really run down on lap time, hand over fist, over a second a lap. But making the move on Halen's going to be difficult. And the longer this battle goes on, the better it is for Jeff Westphal, 5 seconds up the road in the lead in the Carbahn BMW.
But there's plenty of places on this track where they can both see the leaders coming through the carousel at 5 now and out onto the big bend, the left-hander through 6. Under the bridge. Porsche quite strong at this point. Where is Morad going to make his move? Now this is significant. Jan Halen thinks, I need to defend into 7. That's going to compromise his exit. Is this the opportunity for the Tecamed-sponsored blue number 57 to get underneath the slightly smaller rear wing on that GT4 RS1 Porsche? For the moment, it's a stalemate into Cunningham Corner, turn 10. Is the Porsche just using slightly more roads than the AMG? I know there are different, slide for Jan Halen as he comes through, and this is the opportunity right under the rear diffuser. There's a little tap, but that wasn't anything malicious coming out of tower turn. Daniel Morad then will use the whatever hole in the air that svelte and almost tiny Porsche is making. It's going to be down into turn 17. We'll head to the BDO pit lane reporting team in a moment, but this is a significant moment in the Alan Jay Automotive Network 120 at the second round of the Michelin Pilot Challenge. Immediate move to driver's right and onto all of the dirt and crud. Now, will the Mercedes AMG swing out? No, he's staying right there. That Mercedes has not got the straight line speed of the Porsche, even in the draft through turn 17. What can Morad do here? What's the lap times as well? Through for Jeff Westphal at 2:12.5, 2:12.6 for both of the cars following, and that has gone up by almost a full second, the gap between these two cars and the leader. Jeff Westphal benefiting from this, as Peter Mackay suggested he would. Let's take a TCR interview with Nick Damon as we watch the battle for second.
With Bryson Morris out of the car that's leading, it seems that Mark's got the measure of Harry Gottsacker.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good right now. 15 minutes left. Mark's doing a great job, super experienced, so I have no doubts that he can bring it home for us.
Are you happy with your hour?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. Fell back to third a bit with traffic, but was able to climb back up to first when I came in the pits and handed over to Mark in first place. And yeah, he's holding on really nicely, so we'll see.
Good luck. Hopefully we'll see you in Victory Circle.
Yeah, thank you.
Video pit lane report. It is as you were for this battle for first and second. Jan Helen, Peter, driving immaculately. Not actually driving overly defensively, other than down into turn 7, I notice, and on the back straight. Doesn't want to give up the right-hand side on the back straight, but the rest of the time, he's pretty much driving his racing line.
That's what he does. He's a true pro. He's won the Mobile 112 Hours of Sebring before. He won it in 2020 with Wright Motorsports alongside Patrick Long. And they had, and also Ryan Hardwick, and they had a broken damper from hour 3. So when things are difficult and the car's not doing what it was, Daniel Morad has a little, he shows a nose at Le Mans, and Jan just doesn't even flinch. He doesn't flinch. These are two superb drivers. Yes, it seems like Daniel's got the one lap pace right now, but Halen has got every bit as much defensive capability, and what fantastic entertainment. And also just off the back of that interview with Bryce Ward, is very, very kind words there, but you think what he does personally for this sport and the cars that he enters with Windward, not only here in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, but the car that won the Mobile 112 Hours of Sebring GTD class last year and dominated the championship.
And their European operation as well, running in a variety of championship and being selected by AMG to run the DTM squad as well. And that is a relatively, in motorsport terms, a relatively young operation, right?
It is. I mean, it's worth noting that as Windward, it certainly is a new operation, but they took over, what was it, HTP a number of years ago to pick up that European operation as they were expanding, and that has certainly helped them. But I would suggest that they've taken it to a whole nother level since that acquisition. It's been just a sky-high acceleration for this program, and right now fighting hard for second spot.
A slight mistake there by Jan Haling. He was defending nothing there, because the 57 blue and red Windward car was nowhere near being able to make the move. And all of a sudden, the 2 or 3 cars lengths that he had going into turn 7 disappeared completely at Cunningham. And now there's another opportunity here. Now, Daniel Morad is planning, he's scheming. He's had a couple of little half lunges. He's not going to make it down into tower turn 13. Oh, gaggle of TCR cars coming. And Daniel Morad will be rubbing his hands in glee and hoping that they catch those cars at an opportune moment. Another 3/4 of a second, by the way, disappearing to the leader at this point with just on 12 minutes to go.
I think both Halen and Morad, if they want to win the race, they're going to need a full course yellow now, because Westfall's pretty far up the road. He's just at the end of the Alec Ullman straight, but you're spot on, John. Halen and Morad, they're going to reach that big slew of TCR cars, and then, well, it's anyone's guess who's going to come out the other side ahead.
Mark Wilkins, by the way, leads for the number 33 Brian Herder Autosport Elantra. The 98 car with Harry Gutsacker is in second. That's the reverse of how they qualified, isn't it? That's the front row reverse. So after everything that went on early on and then dropped down, they are now first and second. The best non-Audi in TCR is in third place. It is the Baker Racing RS3 that had some problems earlier on. James Vance behind the wheel of that car.
It's a really good comeback for them. But as far as the two Hyundais running 1-2, little vindication maybe for me when I was reporting on the long run pace of the Hyundais.
All right.
This race has been nothing if not a long run.
Sorry, it was the 33 that was on pole position.
Correct.
So that is in fact how they started the race. And again, you look at the grid sheet, 33.98 on the pole position. Oh, they've just driven away from everybody. That is not quite the story by any stretch of the imagination. Now, Westphal has lost a little bit of time as he's gone through traffic. About a second on Morad and Halen, or Halen and Morad, I should say. Now,
but Halen and Morad will have to go through that exact same traffic, so
true.
Westphal will get it back. He's gone through the pain and has got fairly clean air ahead of him. Yeah, reasonably so. His next car up the road is a GS car, so yeah, Westphal will be able to get the hammer down. And I mean, for BMW, they've got to be delighted as well with this new BMW M4 GT4 Evo. They had a horrid Daytona, and well, totally opposite fortunes here at Sebring.
Michelin moment of the race still to be decided. We may not have seen it yet. Big wide entry to turn 16, Le Mans corner from Daniel Morad. I'm not sure that actually helps you at that point, because you're taking a longer run through the corner, and if you get slightly offline there's no grip out there, because that's where all the rubber has been thrown off the tyres. And in fact, he hasn't gained at all going into 17. But here's the traffic that we've been talking about. Second and third coming through turn 17. It still looks to me as though Morad has a car that he can turn tighter and use the Michelin tyres more at this stage of the race. Or is that Halen being canny? Is that him saying, I'm not going to use my tyres at the moment, I might need to fight later on? Through turn 1 and ahead of them is the start of the traffic. For the moment, it's just one car, and they have not caught it in an opportune moment as far as Jan Halen is concerned.
Just real quick, a TCR story. Remember, we talked about Celso Neto, Ryan Eversley. They pitted what we thought was early. Ryan Eversley just had to pit from, I think, the 6th position.
Too early.
And I saw out of the corner of my eye a couple of shots ago, Ryan wiggling the car back and forth, so I think they were low on fuel. They had the issue fueling the car in the pits as well. That's a real shame, because they had a good run going, but now front runners in traffic.
I think that would explain their pace in the stint as well. I thought that's not like Ryan for his pace, and he must have been having to fuel save really hard and was costing him a lot of time. That's a pity, because yeah, you're right, Celso Neto was really strong in the opening stint. I mean, my vote for Michelin moment of the race is this charge from Daniel Morad. Yeah. I mean, just on raw pace,
but yes, I hear what you're saying.
On the moment, his whole stint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just amazing driving.
And what about TCR?
I actually would say Celso Neto's opening stint.
Yeah.
I thought to hold off the Hyundais, who clearly have very strong pace, that would be my vote.
Let's go down to BDO pit lane reporter Joe Bradley. Michelin moment of the race in GS.
GS, I'm going to come back to me on the GS one, but certainly Mr. Mackay's just stolen my thunder there, because I was really impressed with the number 7 Precision Racing Audi RS3. Celso Neto from Salvador, Brazil. What an opening stint that was to fight his way through the traffic. Didn't quite have the fastest car, but he raced the fight. When it came to racing conditions, it was the fastest car with that young man.
Nick Damon?
GS moment, that's easy. That was the second pit stops when the Carbahn pit stop team managed to get their machine out ahead of the RS1 Porsche. That won them, well when there were 7 minutes to go. For TCR, I'm going to go for a weird one. I'm going to say it was Maddie House running out of fuel, because that threw everyone else's strategy off and they had to come in at once. At that point, it became a straight fight to the end.
Yeah, and her getting off the track and not causing a yellow when it would have benefited the rest of her team.
Sportsmanship,
that's great. Joe, did you say you had a GS one now? You thought about it for a second?
Yeah. I've thought about it, because I thought about it earlier for this point. It's the number 95 Turner Motorsport, Dylan McCaven. staying in the car McEvern staying in the car for what seemed like ages. And it was the reason I'm choosing it is because they did something completely different to everyone else.
We've got a problem for the 57 Winward car. There was, I think, a little bit of a touch on the TCR car, and it's a right front flat on that Michelin tyre. A little bit of touch through traffic. We said traffic could be the decider, and Morad's run to glory with Bryce Ward is coming to an end. Now they've got 21 seconds back to Francis Zeldorf. And in fact, it was the number 54 that was the Evo, Caio Chavez, the Supra Evo, I think, that was involved in that. Oh, what an awful way with 6 minutes to go to end that charge to the front, and he's got still half a lap to bring that car around, and a podium finish is slipping away, and it could well be two BMWs rather on the podium, as that next car to come through will be Francis Zeldorf. Great driving by Morad. He will not, Ryan Marine, be rewarded.
Oh, you hate to see it. It was such a fun charge for us to chronicle. Great to watch from trackside or on the pictures or listen to. But he's got to limp this thing a long way around the track. He's going to just drop down the order. Really hate that for Daniel. This is great news, of course, for Jeff Westphal. And how about Turner using the alternate strategy now? We were talking about them as maybe being a fringe top 10 car on pace. How about a podium?
Yeah.
That's massive for them.
Yeah, agree.
Especially after the disaster of Daytona.
Yeah, maybe that pinches it for Michelin moment of the race, possibly.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot. GS has really been the discussion point, hasn't it? There's been so many storylines.
I'm going to throw something in here for a car that's not going to be talked about a lot, and that is Rebel Rock Racing. Made up 10 positions as it is now by doing everything correctly. Again, not maybe a single moment, but the strategies work really, really well in the same vein as Turner Motorsport. They've done it in opposite ways, but 10 positions made up, which might yet be 11 if they can get through and pass the 57. Oh dear, that tyre's now becoming a problem. I feel sorry for Daniel because it happened so early in the lap.
It's just heartbreak, isn't it? You know, they're in for the full season. That they came into this round 6th in the championship. Those points would have been really useful for Windward Racing, and into the pits, it's just points falling away.
From a points perspective in GS, if things finish the way they are, Haywen and Mars would be the only pairing to get podiums in each of the first 2 races. They were runners-up at Daytona, runners-up as they run right here. This could be really big for them.
Cool. The Winward car has made it back. It's such a sad sight to see. Daniel Morad was driving absolutely perfectly and putting this car right on podium contention. He's done a marvellous job of getting the car back without, and the team now just pulling the bits of tyre carcass that have gotten wrapped around the suspension pieces. They're going to put a scrub tyre on there. They're going to need snips. So the wire beading, the threads from the tyre have wound themselves around the suspension, and we've had that earlier in the race. It's going to have to be cut out, so it's not a quick job, this.
Oh, from bad to worse. Jeff Westphal, this all happening behind him as they seem to be chasing him down at one point. And what about the Brian Herder Autosport cars? Got the monkey off the back at Daytona last time out, a track that hasn't been kind to them, and a 4-hour race that hasn't been kind to them. Started a cracking run of the season. My goodness me, what a run.
How do you beat them?
Well, it's
they're
hard,
relentless, and the thing is, there's not
so
just
many
one.
of them as well.
That's the big thing.
Yes,
it's the strength in numbers. It's not just the pace, but and also you've got to give a credit as well to Hyundai Motorsport, who back the young drive. There's a lot of young drivers in these cars. They're putting support in, and they're doing the business. Mark Wilkins, Mason Felipe, Harry Gottsacker, you know, they're all in there. Bryson Morris. They are a really, really strong outfit.
And all of a sudden, it's now a Hyundai 1-2-3. Something just happened to James Vance on this lap. He was running 3rd. Now he's shown in 7th. Did he pit?
Yeah, he's pitted.
Ah,
He's
yeah.
had to pit for fuel.
Wow. And that promotes, well, let's see. When graphic looks a little strange, but I think it should promote Tyler Gonzalez in the car he and Eric Powell share to the 3rd spot for Victor Gonzalez Racing. That team has been struggling with their car all weekend. Eric in particular was telling me he just did not feel comfortable in the package that they brought. They're just trying to get the most out of it. A podium finish when you haven't had the best weekend, all things considered, that is something they can take succor in. Really, really strong drive from Eric Powell and Tyler Gonzalez here today.
So coming up through Jean de Bienne and then out of Le Mans for the penultimate time for Jeff Westphal for Carbahn Motorsport with their BMW M4 Evo, a new product for this year. And they didn't, well, or the M4 GT3 Evo won on its debut in Dubai. Goodness me. We got there.
What do you drive at home?
A 1 Series.
Yeah, you drive a BMW.
Yes. G82 it is. White flag in there then for the Carbahn M4 GT4 Evo.
So it seems that the TCR Michelin moment of the race is pretty cut and dried. That's Celso Neto's running the number 9 Hyundai at the start of the race.
Audi.
Audi, sorry, at the
7 Audi, yeah.
The number 7 Audi at the beginning of the race, and I mean that hasn't necessarily worked out where they wanted to. Ryan Eversley having to pit for fuel, and they've dropped down to 9th position. But it's not about where you finish for this particular award. And for GS, again, this is not going to be the winner of the class, although I did like Nick's Carbahn with Peregrine pit stop, that second pit stop, which got them to the front. But at Turner Motorsport get themselves on the podium with, again, an alternative strategy that left Dylan McIvern in from the beginning. And that actually could have worked out even better for them had there been an opportune intervention from the safety car, which, by the way, on the 250th GS race, the first time that we've been live and ad-free on the IMSA YouTube channel in the US, we have delivered just over now. You asked for 120 minutes for the Alan Jay Automotive 120. We are over that now, so we are over-delivering for you, and without the intervention of the safety car. So the 95 Turner strategy takes the moment of the Michelin moment of the race. And if you want to say thank you to anybody where you've been watching, whether you're here in the States or even actually outside the States, because there's been not even any of the YouTube inserted ads for you on the international feed, then thank Michelin for this special presentation. So, through the final corner, a brilliant piece of strategy on the final pit stop has seen Carbahn with Peregrine Racing take the second race of the Michelin Pilot Challenge season. Our BDO pit lane reporter Nick Damon is with the Carbahn by Peregrine team.
With Sean McAllister. Sean, what a fantastic team result.
Oh man, we can't complain about that one. That was a great race all around. Challenging first stint. I got screwed into going to corner 1. RS1 got by me. But just tried to stick behind him for the remainder of the session. Then the Ford stuck his nose where it shouldn't have been, spun me, and I was luckily able to get back up. Peregrine with Carbahn Racing gave us a great car. Can't complain about the weekend.
And what about that? What about your pit lane team? Because they actually put you in the lead.
Yeah, the pit stop was absolutely perfect. I was able to watch it from up on the stand here. I just saw us come out right in front of RS1, and that put us in the perfect position.
Time pit stop, how close are you on fuel, or was there plenty left in the tank?
There was a little bit left in the tank. I went over the mark that was set on my steering wheel, but they were still confident in the car, so yeah.
Congratulations, well done, man.
Thank you.
TCR winner is Brian Herter, Hyundai, with Bryson Morris. Mark Wilkins in the car at the moment. Bryson, you put the car on pole, you took it off at the start. It was a race that certainly went away from you at the beginning, but then it came back to you guys.
Yeah, we definitely had a little bit of a. I mean, we ended up in 3rd after the first opening laps. yeah, I was able to bring it back to first and then hand it over to Mark from there. And yeah, he just does an amazing job. He's super experienced. He's a great guy. And who else would you want to finish a race here? So yeah, thanks to Mark, thanks to Brian Herta Autosport for the great car. And oh yeah, hopefully we have more this season.
You guys were tough to beat today, I've got to tell you. Well done, congratulations, Bryson. Give my congratulations to Mark as well on the podium. Great stuff.
Oh, absolutely outstanding stuff in TCR. Again, the starting grid and the result looks, you know, oh yeah, first and second, started first and second, finished first and second. On the slowed down lap, we've got the Rafa Supra with a problem at turn 17.
It's not made the finish.
I don't think that, I was going to say, has that finished yet? I don't think it has. And also the number 67 Porsche hasn't made the finish either, and that looks like that might be another fuel issue. There was one or two people who were running it close, Ryan, at the end.
It's a strange one because remember they did the short fill. Oh man, another one. Yeah, the 37. So, but in the case of the CSM car, that's Morgan Burkhart. They did the 2-tire short fill at the end, and they maybe just got the timing wrong.
Ron Tomlinson has not crossed the line yet, and he's dropped down a couple of positions, actually. He'll finish outside the top 10 there in that Audi.
And then we see the 12. This was what happened to Jim Johnson. It was actually a spin in Sunset Bend, interestingly enough. So no shortage of drama from the start to the finish of this one.
Wow, let's take a little breath and have a look at the unofficial results of the Alan Jay Automotive Network 120. Peter Mackay and Ryan Marine with me, John Hindorf, in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre. Plenty to talk about there, with BMW ahead of Porsche and 2 more BMWs. Well done to the Carbon team. RS1 there or thereabouts. There'll be a bit of disappointment, I'm sure, from RS1 that they couldn't get a little bit closer. Massive disappointment further down the field for Daniel Morad and Bryce Ward. It's Turner Motorsport in 3rd, Autotechnic in 4th, Macumbi Mackley Racing in 5th, Team TGM in 6th. Matt Plum still searching for that elusive next win.
Yeah, as is Billy Johnson. They didn't have a great day today at all. But for RS1, to the point Ryan mentioned a little bit earlier on, yeah, RS1, you know, 2 second places. That's a great start to the season, and I think that's how you can get a championship put together.
Just at the bottom end of the top 10, by the way, Ibiza Farm Motorsports for McLaren. Rebel Rock Racing, 12 position gain from their starting position. So exactly as Frank Depew said, we might get in the top 8. He was spot on. In TCR, Brian Hurt at 1 and 2 as they started, but that isn't even a smidgen of what was going on. MMG will come home in 3rd at the best of the Hondas, just ahead. And when I say just ahead, I mean 0.3 of a second ahead of Hart Racing. Chad Gilsinger, the gunslinger, coming home in 4th position. KMW with, again, just a few tenths behind in 5th position for the Honda team. So 3 Hondas there, 3rd, 4th and 5th, ahead of James Vansford Baker Racing, the 52 car. Might have been a little better for them as well in that Audi. That was your top 6. And it looks like the Go Racing car ran out of fuel as well. That's the bright orange Cupra. There's going to be quite a bit of clear up to do here. It looks like somebody's turned the electric off on your Scale Electric set, and everybody's just stopped where they are on the circuit. We have had a brilliant time today. Thank you very much indeed to our BDO pit lane reporting team of Joe Bradley and Nick Damon in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre. It was Ryan Marine and alongside me, directly to my right, Peter Mackay. Well, what a race to have brought to you in the US in its entirety for the first time. 250 GS races are down. TCR brought plenty of action as well. And the good news is you can follow the whole season here on IMSA Radio RS2. And we'll let you know about those YouTube feeds as the season progresses as well. Thanks for being with us. Big thanks to Michelin and to all the production crew, both here at Sebring and the full team up at NASCAR Productions at Concord. Aaron has been the voice of sanity in my ears from Sebring and from the Alan Jay Network 120 for the Michelin Pilot Challenge Round 2. I'm John Hindhaugh saying bye-bye for now.